Everyone believes that ascending to the heavens means joining the ranks of the gods.
But you know the truth. It is nothing but a livestock pen used by the demon clan to select their ingredients. Those ascended geniuses are actually refined into spiritual pills for the demon's cultivation. The only reason you know this bloody truth is because you are the only one who ever escaped that boiling cauldron of oil alive.
You were once the Blue Star's once in a 10,000 years Earth-rank powerhouse.
6 years ago, you shattered the laws of the heavenly Tao across 90,000 miles in a single day.
In the midst of the roaring thunder and fire, you grasped the threshold of immortality.
I saw a magnificent immortal palace, standing proud, high above the sea of clouds. Right at that moment, several waves of demonic energy, so powerful they distorted space itself, came howling from the horizon. The leading demon general was clad in dark gold armor. His eyes were cold and indifferent, as if looking at a herd of prey.
His gaze swept across the altars,
Before finally landing on you, who had just been teleported and was still standing there dazed.
Another fruit has ripened.
His voice carried absolutely no emotion.
As if stating a trivial matter. It seems pasture number 9 has quite a good harvest this year.
The words pasture and fruit felt like two red-hot iron tongs, searing themselves deep into your soul. We watched helplessly as a powerful demon walked up to one of the altars and activated the ritual.
The gray chains glowed to life,
Coiling around a human sage.
The sage did not even scream.
Instead, his body withered and faded as his life force was drained away at a visible rate.
All of his life, essence, and Tao marks were stripped, with finally condensing in the demon's hand into an energy crystal radiating with majestic Tao power.
So, that was it.
The so-called ascension was nothing but a complete, utter scam. The human world you had protected for 3,000 years was merely a pasture where the demons raised their fruit, the hopes of billions of people,
And the lifelong pursuit of countless sages ended up being nothing but a cruel joke.
A roar of rage from the depths of your soul exploded in your chest. Even if your cultivation is completely gone, and even if you are left with a broken body, you are still that undefeated great emperor of humanity.
You ignited the very last trace of your origin power,
Turning your remaining life force into the most desperate, decisive strike of your life. Like a falling meteor, you crashed fiercely toward that demon general.
This was you, the great emperor of humanity, launching one final charge against this horrific truth. But the demon general didn't even bother to look back.
He merely waved his hand in utter contempt. Your radiant fist, along with your final shred of dignity, was effortlessly crushed like a bug. A useless thing with depleted energy, not even worth recycling.
With a casual flick of his wrist,
You were tossed like a withered leaf into a bottomless abyss in the distance. That place was piled high with countless skeletons. Before your consciousness completely sank into the dark abyss, there was no despair in your eyes. Only an icy coldness that could freeze the entire universe.
the oath you carved into the very depths of your soul with your last ounce of strength. As long as I have a single breath left, I will tear this sky wide open.
Cold. That was the only sensation as you regained consciousness.
Struggling to open your eyes, all you could see was a ghastly, pale white sea of bones.
You had been being discarded like trash, thrown onto this mountain of countless rotting bones. The thick demonic energy in the air corroded your shattered body like acid.
The excruciating pain was tearing at your soul every single second.
But you didn't despair. You forced yourselves to calm. It was a habit engraved in your very bones. Your biggest threat was the demonic corrosion. In less than 3 days, you would be completely dissolved. There was absolutely no spiritual energy here.
Only a deadly silence. Your only assets were the vast ocean-like knowledge in your head
And your unyielding will as a great emperor.
Power can be stripped away.
But your mind and your courage, never.
You told yourself.
Your vision began to fade. You didn't even have the strength to turn your head. Using the last remaining spark of your true soul like radar, you scanned the bones around you, inch by inch.
Every single scan felt like a dull knife sawn through your soul.
The pain was agonizing.
But you didn't stop. 1 day. 2 days. Your body had already begun to dissolve. Your mind was on the brink of collapsing several times,
But you dragged yourself back from the edge every single time.
finally, on the 3rd day, just as your consciousness was about to fade completely,
Your true spirit brushed against something different.
it was a half-foot-long piece of wood.
Buried deep beneath a pile of ordinary bones. It was pale green all over, covered in natural, intricate patterns. And most importantly, the moment your true spirit touched it,
You felt a trace of life force, so faint it was almost non-existent.
the ancient spirit Wood Clan. Records flashed through your mind instantly. This was the natural nemesis of the demon race's path of destruction.
Sound it. This was your ticket to a comeback. Using the last of your strength, you wriggled your body like a worm.
And gripped that pale green piece of spirit wood tightly in your hand.
You didn't absorb it immediately.
You knew all too well that in your current state, you were too weak to absorb any energy. Any sudden external force would make what you needed to do was find a leverage point. And with that, you closed your eyes.
Countless array runes reorganize in your brain like a flash of lightning.
A moment later, an absolutely insane plan takes shape. You use your ruined body as the array's foundation, the spirit wood fingerbone as the array's core, and the omnipresent, murderous demonic energy around you as the driving force. You are going to use their own strength against them, borrowing the enemy's own blade to keep yourself alive, using life as the catalyst, turning death into the foundation. You muster your remaining true spirit one last time. No, vibrating it at a mysterious, profound frequency, actively drawing in the surrounding demonic energy. A microscopic energy vortex forms with you at the center, pulling in those violent waves of demonic energy. They are drawn in and filtered by the law of life within the finger bone, stripping away every single trace of violence, leaving behind only the purest energy particles. Wisps of incredibly pure energy seep into your forehead like a gentle, trickling stream, nourishing your nearly extinguished spark of true spirit. Here, at the very end of this dead silence, you've used the enemy's own power to light your very first spark of hope. Time has no meaning here. You sit motionless on the mountain of bones like a statue. The only thing moving is the rapid deduction running through your mind, constantly fine-tuning the flow of the array, raising the efficiency of the energy conversion bit by bit. This process is tedious, grueling, and extremely dangerous. But for someone like you, who reigned as a great emperor for 3,000 years, enduring loneliness has long been second nature. No one knows how much time passes. But your true spirit, once a flickering candle in the wind, finally stabilizes, transforming into a steadily burning golden flame. With the first step complete, you slowly open your eyes. A faint wisp of your divine sense is finally able to leave your body. It ripples outward like water. 1 sang, 3 sang, and finally exhausts itself. 15 jam away. But this is already enough. A 3-dimensional map of the Bone Mountain has formed in your mind. Too slow, you calmly deduce. Relying solely on this finger bone to recover enough to fight will take at least 1,000 years. I can't wait that long. You must find new resources. Your divine sense begins a more meticulous scan. This time, you aren't looking for life force, but materials with special attributes. Soon, your divine sense locks onto a rib buried deep in the bone pile, 7 zhang away to your front left. It glows with a strange, dark silver hue. It's as if stars are flickering across its surface. The moment your consciousness touches it, you feel a sharp spatial tear, the rib of a starry giant beast. You're thrilled. This is the ultimate material for crafting spatial treasures. The demon clan couldn't digest it, so they threw it away like garbage. With this, you can build a spatial beacon and even open up a storage pocket. Your plan instantly becomes crystal clear. But an insurmountable obstacle lies right in front of you. It's barely 20 meters away, but as you try to move, a soul-tearing, agonizing pain hits you, and everything goes black. With your meridians completely shattered, even the slightest movement is pure torture. But the thought of giving up? You crush it instantly. Those words aren't in my dictionary. Deep in your mind, you unearth an ancient secret technique. The underworld mountain moving art. Right now, you don't need to move mountains. You only need the most basic step. The deathly crawling technique. Controlling a single muscle in your back, you contract it, ever so slightly, then contract it again, incredibly slowly, at a pace imperceptible to the naked eye. Your body begins to inch toward that rib bone. Sweat and blood continuously pour out, only to be dried by the wind. You drift in and out of consciousness from the agonizing pain, only to force yourself awake again with sheer iron will. You've been crawling across that short distance for 3 whole days and nights. When your fingertips finally brush against that cold, hard, dark silver rib, you are on the verge of total collapse. But then, you smile. This is the very first step you've taken since your rebirth, even if it wasn't with your feet, holding both survival and space in your grasp. In this silent, desolate wasteland, you have finally pried open a crack in the door of destiny. Clutching that dark silver rib of the starry beast, you know you can't afford to stop, not even for a second. In a place like this, letting your guard down is suicide. You press that piece of spirit wood back against your forehead, racing against time to restore the true spirit energy you just exhausted. At the same time, your mind, storing 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom, is working at furious speed, devising the most flawless plan to forge this rib. Using it raw won't work. It's too unrefined. It's like a legendary blade that hasn't been sharpened yet. It has all the power in the world, but it's completely unusable. You have to refine and reshape it and awaken its dormant laws. You don't just want some ordinary storage bag. What you want is a true, legendary, void ring. The plan is set, but actually doing it is harder than climbing to heaven. Weapon refining requires 3 things: materials, fire, and a medium. Right now, you have the materials. The rib itself can serve as the medium. But what about the fire? In this deathly silent, barren sea, forget about finding earth fire. You can't even light a single spark. No fire? A desperate spark flashes in your eyes. Then I'll use my divine sense as the hammer, and my true spirit as the flame. This is the idea of a complete madman. Using your own soul to forge a weapon. One wrong move, and your soul will be obliterated forever. But you have no choice. The moment your true spirit's power recovers just enough, you immediately get to work. First step, purification. You close your eyes, releasing a tiny thread of your divine sense. Like a razor-sharp probe, it carefully penetrates deep into the rib. You must find and purge the lingering, violent will of that cosmic beast. Those raw emotions are the most lethal impurities. Soon, you lock onto it. The step, nestled deep within the bone, is a chaotic, destructive mess of residual consciousness. You found it. Now, refine. With a single thought, that thread of divine sense instantly transforms into an invisible, razor-sharp blade. Slowly, it begins to carve the violent will out of the rib, thread by thread, drawing it straight into your own physical body. This is no different from injecting pure poison straight into your brain. The moment that first thread of violent will enters, your head feels like it's being smashed by a massive sledgehammer. The agonizing pain makes your vision go black. You nearly pass out right then and there. But you grit your teeth and force yourself to endure.
You lock down your mind with sheer willpower,
using your golden true spirit to burn it away, inch by inch,
crushing that insane madness into nothingness. Every single second of this is like dancing on a razor's edge. 1 day, 2 days, a whole 5 days pass. When the very last thread of that violent will is finally extinguished, your face is as pale as a sheet, and you feel as if your entire soul has been hollowed out.
But look at the rib in your hand. It has completely changed. Its dark silver surface is now pure and translucent,
shining like a flawless gemstone stripped of all dirt.
You didn't take a single second to rest before starting the second shaping array. You had to push through in one breathless go. This time, your spiritual sense wasn't just a probe anymore.
Instead, it transformed into billions of invisible carving knives, sent on carving 1,024 spatial runes inside this 3-foot-long rib bone. They had to form an incredibly complex 3-dimensional array.
The level of control this demanded was absolutely insane.
1 rune. 2 runes. With every single rune you carved, a massive chunk of your spiritual energy was drained away.
The moment your mind went completely empty,
you immediately stopped and forced the Great Spirit Array to spin at maximum power,
squeezing every drop of energy from the surrounding demonic aura to replenish yourself.
This work was so agonizingly mind-numbing, it could drive anyone insane.
Another 10 days dragged by, and then the very last rune fell into place. The instant it locked perfectly into the rest of the array, the entire rib bone began to vibrate violently. The 1,024 runes inside flared to life simultaneously, forming an incredibly profound 3-dimensional star map. The third phase was a success. Your eyes flared with a brilliant golden light. This was the absolute most critical moment. Holding absolutely nothing back, you gathered every single shred of your spiritual power and slammed it violently into the core of the array at the center of the rib bone. In my name, I command, open, space, boom. A deafening roar resounded, like the birth of the universe itself. Within the rib bone, the star map collapsed inward violently, shrinking into an infinitely small point before fiercely exploding outward. At that exact second, the shape of the rib bone underwent a massive transformation. It was no longer a bone. The gnome, under the influence of an invisible spatial force, it contracted rapidly, twisting and coiling in on itself, until finally it morphed right before your eyes into a dark silver ring. It was an ancient, simple ring, with starlight swirling across its surface. The very instant the ring formed, an unsettling, powerful suction force erupted from it, as if it wanted to swallow everything in sight. But you had already anticipated this. Letting out a thunderous shout, you unleashed the very last of your strength to slam your own soul imprint deep into the ring. You forcibly stabilized the newly formed, highly volatile pocket dimension inside the ring. The moment you finished, your vision went pitch black. Completely exhausted, you collapsed backward onto the pile of bones. You had no idea how much time had passed when you finally groaned and drifted back to consciousness, struggling to sit up. The very first thing you did was look up at the ring floating right in front of you. You send a sliver of your divine sense inside. A 10-foot square, gray, misty, chaotic space opens up in your mind. Though the space is small, it actually worked. A sigh of relief escapes you, and a smile finally plays on your lips. With a single thought, you sweep that spiritual wood finger bone, the very source of your life, into the ring. Then, you slip the ring onto your finger. From this very moment, your ultimate trump card is completely safe and secure. You look up, scanning the boundless bone sea once more. To you, this desolate wasteland of death is no longer a prison. It is a massive, untapped treasure trove, overflowing with ancient wonders and exotic resources. And you, Linmo, holding both life and space in your hands, will be the sole plunderer of this entire treasury. With this pocket dimension in your possession, your heart finally finds peace. But a harsher reality slaps you in the face. Your body is still a broken mess. Your meridians are shattered, and your bones are completely crushed. The meager energy gathered from the array is barely enough to keep you breathing. Trying to heal these catastrophic injuries normally is a pipe dream. But you must break down to rebuild. To forge a new foundation, you must first piece your physical body back together. Once again, your eyes lock onto the boundless bone sea. To heal your body, you need pills. To refine pills, you need herbs. But there are no natural treasures here. There is nothing but endless, withered bones. To anyone else, this place is a dead end of absolute despair. But to you, the former sovereign of alchemy, the bones of these fallen powerhouses are the ultimate, top-tier ingredients. Using bones as medicine and refining divine pills from them, this insane idea would make every alchemist on Earth drop their jaws. But for you, it is the only way out. Your plan is simple. Find 3 bones with specific elemental attributes, refine a batch of dragon marrow refining pills, and reconstruct your meridians.
And we're families on the... To activate your vital energy, the main ingredient must possess boundless life force and a gentle nature.
To balance the medicinal power, another must inherently carry the element of raging fire.
To serve as the alchemy flame. With your goals set, you begin your very first treasure hunt. Your divine sense acts like a giant
Invisible net, scanning outward inch by inch.
It is an incredibly tedious process, but you have plenty of patience as the days slowly tick by.
This weathered giant bone is too violent. Pass.
The flood dragon spine has too much water energy. Pass. The wind energy in this violent bird's bone is too fierce. Pass. On the 7th day, your spiritual sense suddenly halts, locking onto the depths of a bone pile. Lying there is a leg bone from a feline creature,
As translucent and clear as jade. The shin bone of a 9-lived spirit cat. Its life force is incredibly dense.
the perfect main ingredient. A surge of joy fills your heart.
To continue your search,
Soon, you discover another flat skull bone. It belongs to an ancient soul-devouring beast. Its savage aura has long been worn away by time.
leaving behind an excellent auxiliary ingredient with incredible soul-soothing properties.
Only one last ingredient remains. You extend your spiritual sense deep into the ground. Sure enough, about 30 feet underground, you make contact with a scorching object.
A section of a crimson snake's spine.
Even though it lost its life force countless years ago.
It still radiates a scorching, lava-like heat.
The spine of a giant python, a natural source of fire. All the ingredients are finally gathered. All 3 materials have been found.
But they are scattered in 3 different locations.
The furthest one is over 100 feet away. At your current crawling speed, it would take you at least half a month to gather them all.
Too slow, you think, shaking your head. Slowly, you raise your hand and look at the spatial ring on your finger.
A glint of deep wisdom flashes in your eyes. If I cannot go to them, I will make them come to me. You channel all of your hard-earned spiritual sense into the ring.
Pull! You whisper softly.
A ripple of dark silver flashes across the surface of the spatial ring. In the distance, the space around the 9-lived spirit cat's shin bone distorts. In the next instant, it vanishes into thin air, suddenly appearing right in front of you.
Blood spills from your mouth.
And your face instantly turns deathly pale.
Summoning objects from a distance is far too taxing for your current body.
But you merely wipe the corner of your mouth.
Your gaze remaining absolutely unwavering.
Following the same method, and at a tremendous cost,
You summon the other 2 bones. Over. The 3 medicinal ingredients float before you. But now, the ultimate challenge arises. Without a cauldron, how are you going to refine them?
proud smirk plays on your lips.
This small pocket of heaven and earth shall be your furnace.
Your divine will is the control, and your true spirit. The fire. This is void alchemy. You close your eyes,
Instantly raising your focus, energy, and spirit to their absolute peak.
with a single thought,
The spine of the lava python flies to the very bottom,
and you instantly ignite the fiery essence contained within it.
turning it into a ball of invisible void fire.
Immediately after, 2 other bones hover above the flames,
Wraps tightly in your powerful divine will.
purifying and merging them. Every single step of this alchemy demands an unimaginable level of control.
Tiniest error, and everything blows up.
And out here in the void, an explosion means your very soul will be blown to smithereens. Beads of sweat break out on your forehead. Yet your mind remains more focused than ever before. It's as if you've returned to your peak, back when you stood above the 9 heavens, refining the ultimate divine pill for all of humanity.
Slowly, the 3 bones begin to melt,
Turning into 3 glowing pools of liquid essence. Who knows how much time has passed? But the moment the very last trace of medicinal power perfectly merges, you suddenly open your eyes and let out a low growl. The 3 liquid pools instantly collapse toward the center, ripping at a blinding speed. Finally, a pill the size of a longan, covered in natural golden veins, forms out of thin air. The Dragonbone Jade Marrow pill is complete.
but you don't even have time to celebrate.
Grabbing the pill, you swallow it without a second thought. Boom! It's like a volcano violently erupting inside you. The pill melts the instant it touches your tongue, turning into a searing, white-hot torrent
That instantly tears through your entire body.
This is no gentle medicine. It's an ancient, awakened beast, rampaging through your broken body. Crack! Crack! Sickening snaps echo from deep within your bones.
Under this brutal force, the bones that had barely begun to heal are shattered once again without mercy.
Ground completely into dust. Your ruptured meridians are torn even further apart.
The agony is far worse than anything you've ever felt, crashing over you like a tidal wave, trying to drown your consciousness.
But you are the great emperor of the human race. Your soul was forged to be indestructible long ago. Hold your mind steady. The elixir courses through your meridians. Amidst the raging waves of agonizing pain, you cling for dear life to the last shred of consciousness. You turn your weak yet resilient willpower into a stabilizing anchor, forcibly intervening in the violent chaos raging inside your body. You cannot let it run wild. You must master it. Like a master craftsman, your consciousness begins to guide this violent energy. First, the bones. You channel the medicinal power, fusing the shattered bone dust with boundless vitality to rebuild them. The newly formed bones glow with a faint jade luster, far stronger and tougher than ever before. Next, The meridians. This is far more dangerous than forging iron.
It is like embroidering on a single strand of hair, demanding absolute focus.
You forget time. You forget the pain. The entire world fades away, leaving only the broken lifelines within you waiting to be rebuilt.
Who knows how much time has passed?
When the very last trace of medicinal power is fully absorbed,
The surging demonic energy outside suddenly falls dead silent. You remain sitting cross-legged,
But your body has undergone an earth-shattering transformation. A thick, foul-smelling layer of dark gray impurities oozes from your pores, hardening into a filthy, solid crust.
suddenly, a tiny crack appears on that crust.
With a soft crack, you slowly open your eyes.
your eyes are no longer dull and lifeless. Instead, they are as bright and deep as cold stars, capable of swallowing everything.
You take a gentle breath.
A breath as deep as an abyss.
The surrounding demonic energy is actually stirred by you, forming a small vortex that rushes into your nose. You slowly raise your right hand. You spread your 5 fingers, then suddenly clench them into a tight fist. A long-lust surge of power floods your palm.
Though faint, it is undeniably real.
It is your own power.
The filthy crust covering your body shatters piece by piece with your movement,
Cracking and peeling away, revealing the reborn, fair jade-like skin underneath.
You stand up. For the first time since coming to this world, you stand up on your own strength.
Though your legs are still trembling slightly,
They firmly support your weight.
you look around.
For the very first time, this endless ancient sea reveals itself with absolute clarity. Looking deep within yourself, your internal organs are as pure as jade.
Though your reconstructed meridians and dantian are still completely empty, the foundation of this physical body has been forged from a pile of ruins into a temple. Empty, but built on solid ground.
You finally have the right to start cultivating once again.
The dragon bone marrow tempering pill has restored about 10% of my physical body, giving me a physique comparable to the peak of the body tempering stage. You calmly evaluate your condition.
But this is only the first step. Your gaze turns once again toward the endless abyssal valley. Just moments ago, you were nothing but a scavenger, struggling to survive.
But now, you are a predator holding a sharp blade, ready to plunder this entire treasure trove.
The spirit gathering array is far too inefficient.
It cannot keep up with my demands.
Your mind races at lightning speed. I need a real cultivation method. A method that can refine the demonic chi in this demon-infested desolate land, strip away the death energy, and extract the essence of life for my own use. A peerless demonic technique.
Ordinary cultivation methods are completely useless here. What you must do is combine your 3,000 years of knowledge and custom create an unprecedented cultivation method tailored perfectly to your current situation.
With the eternal ages as my foundation,
With demonic chi as my food. Your lips curl into a confident, arrogant smile.
the name of this cultivation method shall be the Eternal Tao Source Scripture.
Creating a new cultivation method is a near-death experience for others.
But for you, it is nothing more than assembling spare parts. Your mind is a god-tier treasure vault.
Storing every single cultivation method from the tens of thousands of realms over the last 3,000 years. You are not starting from scratch. You are standing on the remains of hundreds of millions of giants, picking out the very best parts to assemble an invincible scripture for yourself.
You sit down once again.
The moment your consciousness sinks inside, a violent storm erupts in your sea of consciousness. The heavenly demon disintegration art, the devouring art, the essence of the great Sun to Devata scripture, the cycle of the longevity Tao formula. The profound mysteries of countless cultivation methods collide, explode, and reorganize in your mind like a galaxy of stars.
The core problem here is that both the demonic chi and the death energy are highly toxic.
But your thoughts are exceptionally clear.
Others run away from it, but I will do the exact opposite. I will devour it greedily, and then purify it.
I will use the demonic art to draw the demonic chi inside. Use Buddhist techniques to cleanse it of all impurities. And finally, use Taoist arts to transform that purified energy into my very own Tao source, true chi.
An incredibly wild and audacious plan instantly takes shape.
The theory is solid. Let's do this. Without a single moment's hesitation, you begin. You cautiously draw in a wisp of grayish-black demonic energy. The moment it touches your skin, it feels like a poison needle as the bone-eroding chill and chaotic thoughts start drilling deep into you. First step, devour. With a single thought, you mimic the properties of the heavenly demon disintegration art. A faint suction force pulls that wisp of demonic energy straight into your body.
Your body suddenly freezes.
Wild, chaotic, and ruthless, countless negative emotions flood in along with the demonic energy,
Slashing through your meridians like sharp blades.
Damn it. The impact is incredibly violent.
Your newly formed meridians can't withstand such a savage onslaught.
Second step, purify. Clenching your teeth against the excruciating pain, you mobilize your true soul fire to burn it away. But there is one major problem. Your true soul fire was heavily depleted from refining both chi and pills earlier, leaving only a tiny, flickering spark. The moment it makes contact, it's almost snuffed out instead. You spit out a mouthful of blood, your face turning paler than paper. Your first attempt has failed. You immediately cut off the demonic energy and expel the out-of-control force from your body. I miscalculated. You stare at your trembling hand.
But there isn't a shred of discouragement in your eyes.
Instead, they burn even brighter. My true soul power is too weak,
And my meridians are too fragile.
I need a pre-filter and a buffer zone.
Your eyes sweep across the endless sea of bones beneath you. A sudden spark of realization flashes through your mind. I've got it.
The myriad aeons Tao origin scripture. It truly lives up to its name. It's not just about using bones as medicine. I will use this entire sea of bones as my formation. And I will be the core. You found the key. You don't have to endure this alone.
Taking a deep breath,
You begin your second attempt. You begin yours this time. You don't just sit there passively.
Your fingers fly as you form hand seals, and your divine sense spreads out like flowing mercury.
Establishing a connection with the countless bones around you.
I am the cauldron,
Myriad aeons shall be the sieve.
and heaven and earth shall be my furnace. Refine! Your cultivation technique surges to life again. This time, when the demonic energy is drawn in,
it doesn't rush directly into your body.
instead it flows into the ancient bones connected to you first.
In life, these bones belong to absolute powerhouses. Now, the raging demonic energy tears through this endless sea of bones,
Like a massive flood crashing through the wildest, most chaotic parts of a delta.
But the natural law runes etched in these bones wear it down, neutralizing its deadly force.
by the time the demonic energy finally reaches you,
It is transformed from a ferocious tiger
into a wolf that can actually be tamed. Now is the time. Narrowing your eyes, you guide this filtered demonic energy straight into your meridians. The pain is intense.
I can absolutely take it.
This feel?
Next, you do not touch that pitiful speck of true spirit energy inside you. Instead, you channel this raging demonic energy directly into your own bones.
Your Tishan Jade bones, reshaped by the divine elixir,
Are already the ultimate purifying weapon.
sizzle. The demonic energy surges through your jade skeleton.
Every last drop of violence and death is instantly vaporized by the pure life source within your bones.
Finally, a trace of origin energy, incredibly faint, yet purer than anything you have ever felt, is successfully refined. You guide this energy, circulating it through your meridians for one full cycle,
Before letting it sink into your dead, silent Dintan. Like a desert after an eternal drought, your Tantia finally welcomes its first drop of life-giving rain.
Instantly, the eternal Tao origin scripture roars to life.
Your eyes snap open. A beam of piercing golden light shoots from your eyes, leaving a scorched mark on the ground.
Feeling that first spark of energy in your Dantian? A power that belongs entirely to you.
And you alone. Your lips curve into a cold, defiant smile. From this day on, this place is no longer your prison.
But the very first stepping stone for you to reclaim your throne. That single spark of Tao origin power is like a seed, declaring the end of this barren wasteland. You do not want to waste a single second and instantly push the eternal Tao origin scripture to its absolute limit. If before was just a test, now is the real beginning of your path back to the top.
With a single thought, a silent storm erupts with you at the center, sweeping across a 100 Zhang radius of the Bone Sea. Buzz. Countless skeleton bones begin to resonate. They come alive, turning into gears for your massive cultivation.
The thick demonic energy outside is drawn in like a giant whale swallowing the ocean, transforming into visible torrents of air. A massive gray vortex forms right over your head. But before this demonic energy can touch you, it pours into that 100 Zhang Bone Sea first.
The Bone Sea becomes your outermost respiratory system. Some bones cannot withstand the raw force and shatter into dust, but immediately, more bones take their place.
After passing through these endless layers of filtration, the demonic energy that finally reaches you is as tame as a kitten. You open your mouth and take a deep breath.
A stream of pure, filtered energy flows into your body, passing through your jade bones for the final purification, transforming into Tao origin power and merging into your Dantian. The cycle repeats, and
The single drop of water in your Dantian quickly pools into a puddle, then grows into a stream. 3 days later, you slowly exhale a breath of turbid air that shoots several feet out in front of you. Standing up, you feel like a completely different person. Your movements are no longer sluggish. You feel as light as a feather. The power inside you is already comparable to the third stage of the Qi refining realm, and your spiritual sense has expanded to nearly 200 Zhang. Yet, you frown.
at this rate, it would take hundreds of years just to break free from this place. You cannot wait that long. Ordinary bones have already reached their limit.
I need higher quality filters. You spread your spiritual sense once more, performing an even more precise scan. This time you are looking for
The remains of the supreme powerhouses, who, despite losing their life force countless years, still have the marks of heavenly laws deeply engraved in their bones.
Huh? Suddenly, 180 Shang to the east, buried beneath a mountain of bones, you spot a bone, unlike any other.
It is only about a foot long, dull and dark. Yet, the moment your spiritual sense brushes against it, you feel a sharpness so intense it could pierce your very soul. A remnant bone containing the law of the sword. Your heart skips a beat.
The owner of this bone must have been a peerless sword cultivator whose power reached the heavens.
If you can just get your hands on it
And use it as your core array.
your cultivation speed will shoot up by at least 10 times.
But the exact moment you lock onto that sword bone,
A sudden jolt of terror ripples through the edge of your divine sense.
an icy, starving, and pure malice
like a deep-sea shark catching the scent of blood, is closing in at lightning speed, drawn by the commotion of your cultivation.
That is no intelligent creature.
It's more like a monster driven purely by the instinct to devour. Is it a boundless ocean wraith? Your eyes instantly turn ice cold. You knew this place couldn't be this peaceful.
The commotion you made was like a bonfire in the pitch-black night, drawing this ferocious beast straight to you.
Danger is here. Good.
There's no running away anyway. Stopping in a place like this is just begging for death. There is not a single shred of fear in your eyes.
Instead, a flash of ruthless determination cuts through them.
You glance in the direction of that sword bone, then sense the suffocating malice closing in.
A daring, incredibly reckless plan instantly takes shape in your mind.
You want to eat me? Let's see if your teeth are sharp enough. Instead of suppressing your aura,
You push your eternal Tao origin scripture to run even more violently.
the massive vortex of energy acts like a beacon in the night, guiding the wraith straight to you.
At the exact same time,
You take a massive stride forward, without a moment's hesitation.
You bolt directly toward where that remnant sword bone lies.
you must get that sword bone before you are caught, and then give that reckless beast a surprise it will never, ever forget. Fortune favors the bold. A violent, chilling wind howls.
This dead land shouldn't even have wind,
But right now, you feel a bone-chilling breeze,
that is the massive wave of malice right behind you, moving so fast that the pressure it stirs up feels like a solid wall slamming against your back.
Your divine sense can see it crystal clear.
A massive dark shadow woven from countless twisted faces and writhing black mist.
It is pure, unadulterated hunger and malice, desperate to devour everything. This boundless ocean wraith is even faster than you imagined. Your heart sinks, but your feet move even faster, channeling your Tao origin energy into your legs as you leap wildly across the undulating piles of skeletal remains. The distance of 180 zhang is shrinking fast. 100 zhang. 50 zhang.
10 zhang left. You arrived. With a powerful leap, you land right on top of the pile of bones where the sword bone lies.
But it is buried deep down, and the very second you land, that ancient sea phantom has already caught up. Less than 30 dang behind you.
A silent, piercing shriek suddenly explodes inside your sea of consciousness.
Your very soul violently trembles. It feels like being struck by a massive sledgehammer. Your vision goes pitch black,
And your body freezes for a split second.
What a brutally powerful mental assault. If your soul's foundation weren't incredibly resilient, that single blow would have finished you right then and there. Now is the time. Forcing down the agonizing pain, a fierce, ruthless determination flashes in your eyes. There is no time to dig with your bare hands. You slam both palms violently onto the pile of bones beneath your feet. You unleash every single drop of your remaining Tao origin true force, letting it erupt without holding back. A powerful spiraling force drills straight down. The bones beneath you are blasted to both sides, carving out a path by sheer force. It is the first divine stance of the eternal Tao scripture, controlling bones with might. And there, at the very end of the path, that dark gold sword bone lies in absolute silence. We reach out to grab it, but at the exact millisecond your fingertips are about to touch the bone,
That bone sea phantom lunges right behind you.
a towering massive shadow blots out all light. A pitch-black claw of pure resentment silently rips toward your back. Life and death hang by a single thread.
Yet, there is not a single trace of panic in your eyes.
Only the cold, calculated focus of a hunter closing his trap.
Finally, your hand locks onto that cold, rock-hard sword bone. Now, let's tell to you, without turning back, without dodging.
You frantically pour the absolute last drop of your Tao origin true force into it. Suddenly, this piece of dark gold sword bone comes to life. The ancient skeletal relic, silent for eons, awakens from its...
A razor-sharp, domineering sword intent that could rip the heavens apart violently erupts from the bone.
This is not your power.
But the immortal, unyielding will of the bone's original owner.
You are merely the spark.
The invisible sword intent sweeps outward in a massive ripple-like wave, with you at the absolute center.
That vicious claw, just inches from piercing through your back, melts like snow under a blazing sun. Instantly severed, it vaporizes into nothingness. The Bone Sea Phantom lets out a blood-curdling screech as the devastating sword intent sweeps through its massive body. Thick plumes of dark smoke hiss and rise,
And countless twisted faces dissolve in sheer, agonizing pain. He is terrified. He never expected this seemingly weak prey to harbor such a horrifying, unsettling power deep inside.
Instantly, he recoils in sheer panic, desperately wanting to flee, wanting to run away.
But you slowly turn around. Your face is deathly pale from sheer exhaustion. Yet your eyes are burning with a terrifying brilliance.
Like an emperor holding the power of divine judgment. Since you're already here, leave your very soul behind. You raise the dark gold mirror in your hand, high into the air,
as if wielding an unparalleled, legendary divine sword. You merge your divine sense with the raw sword intent slumbering inside the bone,
and slash down fiercely.
There is no earth-shattering roar, no grand spectacle.
Only a tiny faint streak of dark gold light flashes from the tip of the sword bone and instantly vanishes.
That streak of light is impossibly fast. In a fraction of a second, it tears through space itself and pieces directly into the very core of the specter.
The next instant,
boom! The massive body of the ancient sea specter is violently ripped apart from the inside, shredded to pieces by a burst of countless razor-sharp sword.
He can't even let out a final desperate shriek. He just disintegrates midair with a deafening blast.
dissolving into a massive cloud of black mist.
But the lingering sword chi immediately purifies every last bit of it. A deathly silence falls over the world. The only thing left is a fist-sized object, the glowing crystal radiating a soft, white light, drifting down from where the specter vanished. It lands on a pile of bleached bones with a soft, crisp clink. You stare at the soul crystal, letting out a long, heavy sigh. An overwhelming wave of exhaustion suddenly crashes over you. Your knees buckle, and you can barely even stand. Lean heavily on the sword bone. You collapse to one knee, gasping desperately for air. That single strike just now drained every last ounce of your energy. Yet, as you look at the dark gold mirror in your hand, now perfectly still again, and then glance at the pure soul crystal resting in the distance, a triumphant smile finally breaks across your face. Crisis truly breeds opportunity. In this very first hunt, you risked it all. And you won, kneeling in the deadly silent sea of bones. Your ragged, heavy breathing is the only sound left in this entire world. The hollow weakness of exhaustion gnaws at your body like some invisible monster, eating away at your very bones. Your head throbs with a sharp, stabbing pain, like 1,000 needles piercing your brain. It makes sense. Forcing a power, a sword intent that does not belong to you, carries an immense toll. But this price was absolutely worth paying. Every single step on the path to the throne is a dance on the edge of a blade. That right just once.
And the return is 100-fold. Enough to let you pick up the supreme sword bone lying on the ground.
You carefully wipe the bone dust off it,
As if handling a priceless, once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Then, your gaze locks onto a fist-sized, pure white soul crystal not far away. For someone whose divine sense is on the verge of drying up,
This is nothing short of life-saving rain. Without a single second of hesitation, you drag your aching, exhausted body step by step toward the soul crystal and pick it up. A warm, peaceful aura radiates from the crystal. Just holding it in your hand
instantly eases the splitting pain in your head. Not wanting to waste any time, you find the hollow interior of a massive beast skeleton nearby.
That naturally formed cavern is the perfect place to hide.
Sitting down cross-legged,
You cup the soul crystal in both hands and press it directly against your forehead. Closing your eyes, you cautiously send your divine sense inside.
boom! A wave of soul energy, far more massive and pure than you ever imagined, floods into your dried-up sea of consciousness, like a bursting dam. It feels like a man dying of thirst suddenly plunging headfirst into a lush oasis. Your depleted divine sense restores and surges at a speed visible to the naked eye. The cracks in your mind, caused by pushing your limits earlier, are rapidly healed.
In the time it takes an incense stick to burn, the soul crystal crumbles into ash.
Your sea of consciousness has undergone an earth-shattering transformation. If before it was just a small pond, now this lake is at least twice as big.
Not only is your divine sense completely restored,
It is several times stronger than before, condensed and refined like solid steel.
what a treasure. You open your eyes.
As a flash of golden light sweeps across them, your divine sense bursts outward. This time, your sensory range skyrockets from 200 jang to 500 jang. Within those 500 sao, every tiny groove on every single bone, and every trace of flowing demonic energy, is mapped out in your mind like a high-definition map. Not only does it reach further, but it's also incredibly sharp. You nod in satisfaction. Now, you finally have some leverage to survive in this place. With your divine sense restored, the next step is to raise your cultivation. You open your hand, looking down at that piece of dark gold sword bone. Your eyes burn with an intense heat that you can't hide. Using the remains of a supreme powerhouse as the formation core, this is the true way to unlock the myriad ancient Tao scripture. Before, you had to rely on ordinary, useless bones as your spiritual medium. The efficiency was absolutely pitiful. And now, you have this super core, packed with the laws of creation.
No more waiting. Move now.
With yourself as the focal point, you unleash your powerful divine sense, manipulating and rearranging every single bone within 500 zhang. Under your mental command, countless skeletal remains shift silently. They alter their positions, no longer a chaotic pile of useless debris. Instead, they stack and realign, forming a profound, mystical array, with you at the absolute center, and the sword bone as the array's core. A massive cultivation engine spanning 500 jang instantly snaps into place. With a low shout, you activate the Eternal Tao Source Sutra once more, but this time, everything is different. More gentle, slow vortexes. Now, it is a massive funnel, spinning violently around the sword bone. A massive deluge of grayish-black demonic energy is forcibly dragged in, filtered layer by layer through the grand outer array, and transformed into a torrent of pure energy. Every single drop pours directly into the inner core. Inside the sword bone, it crackles and hisses. Dark golden light flows over the sword bone. Its supreme sword intent, like a powerful purifier, violently shreds every last trace of impurity and malicious resentment to pieces. Finally, what gushes from the tip of the sword bone is an energy so pure, milky white Tao source energy, sharp and refined. You open your mouth and inhale, and the tiny stream in your dantian instantly begins to boil. The stream expands and deepens at a visible rate, quickly surging into a roaring, powerful river. Your cultivation level begins to skyrocket. Qi refining level 3, Jur, refining level 4, all the way to the peak of Qi refining level 6.
In just 3 days, it is as if you turned on God mode. You crash straight through to the very peak of the mid-stage. Just one step away from the late stage, you slowly withdraw your power. Feeling the surging, raw energy coursing through your veins, you stand up and clench your fist. Your knuckles pop like firecrackers, and the air itself seems to shatter under your grip. This is what real cultivation feels like. You leaped your head,
Gazing through the gaps in the bones, staring deep into the pitch-black abyss of the ancient sea.
within your newly expanded, divine sense. You faintly sensed that deep within this ancient sea, there are entities with even more powerful, more ancient auras than the sword bone in your hand.
They're like lighthouses in the dark.
Distant and shrouded in mystery.
A wild, dangerous smirk curls on your lips.
So, this ancient sea has only just revealed its first corner to me. As the last wisp of Tao source energy is absorbed into your Dantian,
You open your eyes. Peak of Chi refining level 6. This overwhelming power is over 10 times stronger than before. But what gives you even more confidence is your expanded sea of consciousness, now reaching 500 Zhang. It makes you feel like an absolute god in this domain.
you wave your hand, and the dark gold sword bone thrust in the ground flies right into your palm.
And with it, that massive ancient town vanishes as well. You tear a piece of hide from the colossal skeleton of a giant beast.
Wrap the sword bone carefully and sling it onto your back,
Having done all this, you release your divine sense once again.
locking onto the southeast. A relatively weak, yet still ancient and majestic aura is coming from that direction. And you make your decision. Like a wisp of smoke, you dart forward, skimming right above the ground.
Your speed is several times faster than before. The white bones beneath your feet can no longer slow you down. With just a light tap of your toes, you glide over 10 Zan across the ground.
You are no longer the prey.
You're the king, patrolling his own backyard.
However, after traveling about 10 miles,
You suddenly come to a halt. Like a ghost, you slip behind a massive ribcage, completely masking your presence.
there is no tension on your face.
Instead, a playful smirk curls your lips. On the map of your divine sense, a group of uninvited guests is crouching behind an ancient mound, 300 Zhang ahead.
13 ancient demon wolves,
Equivalent to 13 Qi condensation cultivators of the second or third stage. Cunning, ruthless, and working as a team. They want to set an ambush.
ambush me?
A cold sneer plays at the corner of your mouth. In the face of your 500 Zhang divine sense, this kind of trick is no different from children playing house. Instead of taking a detour, you unstrap the sword bone from your back, grip it in your hand, and strut out from behind the ribcage, looking like a completely defenseless passerby. We walk straight toward the ancient mound. The very moment you step into the ambush zone,
A wild wolf's howl tears through the dead silence.
13 streaks of white lightning pounce from all directions, off all your paths of retreat.
The leader leaps high into the air, its giant claws aiming straight for the crown of your head. Yet, what it meets is a pair of eyes that are terrifyingly calm, even carrying a hint of mockery.
Finally, you showed yourselves. We whispering to yourself. Instead of retreating, you take a step forward and flick the sword bone in your hand violently upward. Without even using sword intent, you simply flood it with your surging, river-like Tao essence. Under the pressure of your true energy, the wrapping hide instantly explodes. The gork gold sword bone carves a perfect arc in the air.
And a semicircular golden blade of energy, condensed as if solid, screeches out.
That Wolf King didn't even have time to let out a single scream. It was sliced clean in half mid-air. The eerie light in its eyes vanished instantly, down in a single blow. Driven even wilder by the violent aura, the remaining 12 demon wolves lunged right at you. Your expression doesn't even flicker. You stop your foot hard onto the ground. Eternal Tao origin.
Play command.
Boom! With you at the very center, countless bone fragments on the ground begin to shake violently. Then, dozens of razor-sharp bone spikes shoot up from the earth without warning, like a deadly trap.
Tut. The leading demon wolves are instantly impaled
And pinned ruthlessly to the ground. The eerie lights in their eyes fade. The remaining wolves' onslaught grinds to a sudden halt. For the first time, sheer terror fills their eyes. They realize this human in front of them isn't just powerful. He can actually control the bones of this graveyard.
Want to run now? Too late.
You move. Like a tiger, tearing into a flock of sheep. The dark gold bone sword in your hand becomes a grim reaper's scythe.
Every single swing strikes right at the weakest spot of their skulls.
Crack, crack, crack. The dull sound of shattering bone echoes continuously. In just a dozen breaths, the battle is over. You stand tall, holding your bone sword, surrounded by scattered wolf bones. Looking at the bone sword, clean as new, you nod in satisfaction. With your current strength, ordinary Qi refining cultivators aren't even worth a glance. You turn your gaze toward the southeast once again. That distant, powerful aura remains silent. The appetizer is over. Now, it's time for the main course. You get your bearings and take your next step. Heading deeper into the depths of the ancient sea. Having cleared out those brainless demon wolves, you don't waste a single moment. Guided by that massive, overwhelming aura, you speed deeper into the heart of the ancient sea. The deeper you go, the further you go, the more bizarre the surroundings become. The chaotic, scattered bones slowly thin out, replaced by skeletal remains
that are increasingly massive and intact. Some of the bones even gleam with a jade-like luster, radiating an aura of immortality. The demonic energy in the air seems to have been long since forcibly expelled by an even more domineering power.
Your heart grows increasingly heavy. Within your divine sense, your target's aura is no longer a blurry beacon, but a towering, silent mountain. An even more ancient, desolate, and overbearing pressure rolls over you, stinging your skin even from miles away.
This pressure, you know it all too well. It is dragon aura. Moving forward another few miles, you silently scale an ancient mound when your advancing figure freezes instantly. Even with your composure as a god emperor, the moment you see the scene before you, your pupils suddenly contract. There is no mountain range in front of you. That is the colossal carcass of a dragon skeleton so massive it defies imagination, stretching from right before you all the way to the edge of your vision,
Forming a literal mountain range of ancient dragon bone. The skull, massive as a mountain, is held high, its empty eye sockets like two black holes staring toward the heavens in a silent roar. This ancient dragon ridge is the source of that overwhelming aura.
Your heart begins to beat violently.
A complete dragon skeleton. This is the ultimate material for crafting supreme Tao weapons.
Even a tiny fragment
Is worth far more than anything in your possession. Suppressing your excitement, you unleash your divine sense like a tidal wave to investigate. The core energy source is concentrated inside that dragon skull. There is likely a dragon soul in there,
or even a dragon core. You are just about to make a move when you freeze. Your eyes instantly turn sharp as you pull back all of your divine sense.
concealing your presence to the absolute limit.
You blend into the ancient mound behind you like a piece of solid stone. Just a moment ago, your divine sense caught another faint life signature right in the middle of the dragon's spine. A stranger dressed in a gray robe, skin short, is sneakily crouching on a massive vertebra, scraping something off with a specialized trowel. Someone beat you to it. Your brow furrows slightly. There is actually someone else here?
You don't show yourself immediately. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind.
before you know who they really are.
Remaining a quiet observer is always the best choice.
Your gaze grows deep as you watch the small, thin figure busying themselves on the dragon's spine, and then look toward the massive dragon skull in the distance,
Radiating irresistible temptation.
This treasure hunt seems like it's going to be much more interesting than you expected. Deathly silence is the eternal theme of the ancient dragon ridge.
Like a true stubborn boulder.
If calmly observe the thin figure on the distant dragon spine.
The person is like a mountain mouse, using a small, dark jade trowel to harvest dragon crystal dust from the cracks in the bones. At least they know their stuff, you think to yourself.
Their cultivation is at the 9th stage of chi refining.
With a solid foundation.
Harvesting as he goes, he keeps moving closer and closer to the dragon's head. Finally, he stops in front of a thoracic vertebra as vast as a plaza. The dragon marrow energy here is incredibly dense, forming a shimmering, star-like speckled barrier of pure spirit.
The scrawny cultivator's breath catches instantly, growing rapid and shallow.
His eyes gleam with pure fanatical greed.
But where there is massive temptation, deadly danger is never far behind.
He hesitates for a split second, but in the end, greed completely overpowers his sanity. He activates a defensive array disc, fingering a pale yellow barrier of light around himself. Bending down, he raises his shovel and digs. But the very second the metal touches the crystal dust, thinks as he, a deafening roar explodes directly inside his soul. The scrawny cultivator feels like he's been hit by a massive sledgehammer. His defensive barrier shatters instantly into a million pieces. He screams in agony, bleeding from every facial orifice as an invisible force violently blasts him backward, slamming hard into the giant rib bones 30 feet away, instantly collapsing, half dead. But it's not over yet. From the very spot he just dug, a burst of ghostly white dragon breath erupts like a geyser, barreling straight down toward his head. The scrawny cultivator's face turns completely pale, his breath catching in his throat.
His eyes are filled with pure, unadulterated despair.
Desperate, he slaps his storage bag, activating a deep blue mystic water tortoiseshell talisman. Block it for me, he screams. The talisman transforms into a phantom tortoiseshell, wrapping him in its defense. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The ghostly dragon breath collides with the tortoiseshell phantom, producing a horrific, flesh-melting hiss of corrosion. By the time the dragon breath finally dissipates, the tortoiseshell phantom is completely ruined and shattered. Whew. The scrawny cultivator collapses onto the ground, his face as white as a sheet. Trembling with fear, he looks back at the now calm dragon marrow crystal dust, his heart pounding with absolute terror. Struggling to his feet, he stumbles and staggers, desperate to flee. But the very moment he turns around, a cold-come-different voice cuts through the silence just behind him. Since you've taken my master's things, and are now severely wounded, why don't you just stay here forever? The scrawny cultivator freezes instantly, every hair on his body standing on end. He slowly, agonizingly turns his head, only to see a young man in black standing 30 yards away.
On his back is a long wrapped bundle, and his expression is chillingly calm. His deep, piercing gaze locks onto him like a predator's. You just stand there, quietly watching him, like a lone wolf locking eyes with its wounded prey.
Who are you? How long have you been standing there?
His voice cracks, turning hoarse and screechy from sheer terror. You don't say a word. Instead, you take a slow, deliberate step toward him. Every single step feels like a heavy boot stopping right on his chest. A Tier 1 premium Blackwater Tortoise Talisman.
One of those costs at least 3,010 spirit stones.
Yet, you used it without even flinching. You must be incredibly wealthy.
Your voice is completely flat, but it sends a freezing chill straight down his spine. Hand over everything in your storage bag, along with all the dragon crystal dust you've gathered.
You pause for a beat and let out a cold, chilling smile. Do that, and I might just spare your life. The scrawny cultivator standing in front of you watches his face frantically shift between deathly pale and bruised purple, like a malfunctioning traffic light. He glares at you with venom in his eyes.
His gaze a messy cocktail of sheer terror, resentment, and a sliver of cunning that you can see right through.
Look, friend, we have no history, no bad blood between us. Why do this? He says, all while secretly mobilizing. The pitiful amount of spiritual energy left in his body. His voice rasps like he's swallowing sand.
I will give you half of the dragon crystal dust.
Just let me go. And I'll pretend today never happened. You remain completely expressionless, staring at him in silence.
Like you're watching a terrible amateur play.
I want it all. You calmly utter those words, and they strike like a heavy sledgehammer,
completely shattering his final delusion.
His face contorts into a hideous mask of extreme rage and terror.
Kid, don't push your luck.
I am an inner disciple of the Chixia sect.
If you dare touch me, my sect will hunt you down to the ends of the earth.
They will make you pay a devastating price.
The Chixia sect. Finally, your lips curl into a faint, barely noticeable smile,
filled with a hint of contempt, yet tinged with nostalgia. Never heard of them. Those 4 simple words are the final straw that breaks his spirit.
Good, fine, great. He barks out a frantic, enraged laugh,
a desperate, suicidal madness flaring up in his eyes.
Since you won't leave me a way out, then we are going to hell together. Before the words even leave his mouth, he violently slaps his storage bag, pretending to hurl it right at you.
It looks like he's trying to trade his treasures for his life. But the very second the storage bag leaves his hand, a filthy gleam, as thin as a cow's hair, shoots out from his other sleeve.
It flies silently toward you at a speed too fast for the naked eye to track.
It's a venomous, treacherous, soul-devouring needle, designed specifically to destroy the soul.
Anyone struck by it is as good as dead. This is his ultimate trump card. At such a close range, and with such a cowardly sneak attack.
A smug, sinister grin is already spreading across his face.
But then he locks eyes with you and sees a gaze as calm and deep as an abyss.
At the exact millisecond the soul-devouring needle is fired, you move. Your movement actually seems almost slow
as you casually thrust the dark gold sword bone forward. With a faint, barely audible clink,
that needle carrying all his hopes slams into what feels like an invisible, divine mountain. It freezes instantly and then shatters, inch by inch, disintegrating into a cloud of black ash. No. Impossible. The sadistic grin on his face instantly freezes, replaced by sheer, absolute horror. This is the very last thought he will ever have in this world.
Because after crushing the toxic needle,
the trajectory of your sword bone doesn't pause for even a millisecond,
flowing forward like water.
And with a soft, barely perceptible squelch,
the dark gold sword bone cleanly and ruthlessly pierces straight through his throat.
His eyes widen in disbelief as a wheezing, raspy gasp escapes his throat.
His life force strains away rapidly, like a receding tide. You calmly pull out the sword bone, letting his limp corpse collapse to the ground. You look down at the sword bone in your hand.
It is still as pristine as new, completely unstained by blood or dust.
The weak are meat for the strong, and that is how it goes. You whisper softly to yourself. It's as if you're speaking to his dead body,
or perhaps reminding your newly reborn, young body of this eternal, unchanging truth of the cosmos.
In this new life, this is the first opponent you've personally eliminated.
You feel absolutely nothing.
Your heart is as calm as still water. You step forward, coldly picking up his storage bag and belongings,
sweeping your divine sense over them.
There isn't much inside. But for you right now, it's actually quite a haul. A bottle of dragon crystal dust,
thousands of low-grade spirit stones,
a few bottles of elixir pills,
a few ragged talismans,
and a cheap, low-grade manual called the 7 Fiends Bone Melting Technique.
There's also a torn piece of a beastkin lab.
You casually toss the rest into your storage bag,
holding on to only that map fragment.
The map depicts this exact ancient sea with several locations marked by red dots. One of those dots is the very ancient dragon beneath your feet. At the very edge of the map,
an arrow points toward the deepest depths,
with 2 blurry words scribbled next to it.
The hidden abyss.
Interesting. Think? You tuck the map away
and turn your gaze back to the massive dragon head in the distance. That little distraction is over. Now it is time to claim what is truly yours.
With a flick of your finger, you send out a wisp of black flame, burning the remains to absolute ash, leaving not a single trace behind. You look up at the mountain-like dragon head, From where you stand to that head is barely a few miles.
But this short distance is the most terrifying stretch of dragon pressure on this entire beast. The guy from earlier was only at the dragon's chest, yet a mere shred of its lingering will almost killed him.
It's hard to imagine what the dragon's head, the core of its soul, will be like. The sheer pressure there must be absolutely insane. A normal person would lose their mind just by glancing at it. But you are no ordinary person. Taking a deep breath, you stop holding back.
Instead, you fully unleash your soul power, letting it surge over your skin to form an invisible barrier. Inside your sea of consciousness, the silent extinction soul-severing art begins to quietly circulate.
This God-Emperor level soul-refining art is best at forging immortality amidst destruction and crushing pressure. To others, the dragon pressure here is a life-taking axe, but to you, it is the ultimate tonic. Come on.
Let's see how much spine is left in a mortal realm dragon that lost its life force tens of thousands of years ago.
The corner of your mouth curls up and you take a step forward. With that single step, the world spins. Boom!
A pressure 10 times stronger than before hits you like an invisible tsunami.
It slams violently into your soul from all directions. And in an instant, thousands of illusions explode in your mind.
The raw, overwhelming tyranny of a colossal dragon, incinerating mountains, and
the absolute majesty of 10,000 beasts prostrating at its feet. And that final, desperate roll of defiance before its life slipped away.
An onslaught of violent, desolate, and furious emotions claw madly at your consciousness, desperate to tear it to shreds.
Your body sways slightly, and your face goes a shade paler. The dragon's pressure has indeed exceeded what you expected this weak body could handle. Yet, your eyes remain crystal clear.
At the deepest depths of your sea of consciousness, that tiny spark of the Divine Emperor's soul brand remains rock solid.
The silent soul-shattering art begins to spin furiously,
acting like a ruthless meat grinder, pulverizing and absorbing all the mental garbage pouring in and converting it into the purest soul force to feed back into your own body. A tearing, agonizing pain shoots from the deepest depths of your soul.
You let out a low, muffled groan, but your feet never stop. You walk slowly, but every single step is incredibly steady, as if anchored by heavy weights. With every step forward, the dragon's pressure intensifies by another degree. With every step forward, your soul is tempered, becoming 1 degree more solid and resilient.
The invisible telekinetic barrier around your body begins to emit a faint, golden glow.
A journey of just a few miles takes you a whole 2 hours. Finally, when you stop, you are standing directly beneath that massive dragon skull. You look up, gazing at the colossal skeleton that seems to connect heaven and earth.
Its 2 pitch-black, hollow eye sockets look like abysses leading straight to the underworld.
Staring silently up at the sky.
At the same time, you have completely adapted to the dragon's pressure.
Your soul power is clearer and stronger than ever before. Just by walking this short distance, your soul strength has surged by at least 30%. A pretty decent appetizer. You nod with satisfaction and begin searching the massive skull. Soon, you find an opening about 3 feet wide right where the jaw connects to the neck.
The bone surrounding the opening has taken on a glazed, glass-like luster, clearly the result of being washed over by pure energy for countless years. That is where the dragon's ultimate essence lies.
Instantly, your eyes light up.
With a sudden leap, you slip inside as quietly and gracefully as a cat in the night.
After passing through a brief, dark tunnel, the view suddenly opens up.
You step into a massive, cavernous chamber that looks like the inside of a furnace. The surrounding bone walls are smooth and warm, like jade,
glowing with a soft, pale golden light.
They are covered in intricate, mysterious natural patterns. The spiritual energy here is so dense, it is almost turned to liquid. And right in the very center of the space,
a fist-sized orb of light, looking like liquid gold, floats in the air. It resembles a miniature sun,
yet pulses like a beating heart.
With every rhythmic buzz and pulse, it sends out a ripple of golden energy. In this moment, your breath catches.
For the first time, a look of uncontrollable fanaticism flashes in your eyes. It is actually a dragon soul primal crystal.
This is something a colossal dragon,
just before passing, condenses from its entire life force and even a shred of its immortal soul. It is a supreme treasure 100 times more valuable than a dragon core.
To you, right now, this is a supreme, divine item that can rebuild your foundation, temper your physical body, and let you ascend to the heavens.
Suppressing your sheer ecstasy, you step toward it, 1 pace at a time.
Just as you get within 30 feet of the crystal,
a sudden change occurs. With a loud buzz, the dragon soul primal crystal erupts with blinding light. A high-pitched dragon's roar blasts directly inside your soul. A foot-long miniature golden dragon phantom charges out from the crystal. Its eyes are hollow, driven only by the pride of the dragon race and its protective instinct.
This is the crystal's final guardian.
The golden dragon phantom turns into a bolt of lightning,
defying all distance,
and charges straight toward the center of your forehead.
This is the most perilous soul strike imaginable, aiming to completely wipe you, the intruder, out from the soul level. Facing this fatal blow, not a single trace of panic shows on your face. You do not even dodge or evade.
Instead, a cold smirk plays on your lips. Bring it on! This is the perfect chance to see if your dragon soul is tougher, or if my remnant shred of the Divine Emperor's soul is more powerful.
Far from defending yourself, you throw the gates of your sea of consciousness wide open, let it barge right in.
The next second, storms rage wildly within your sea of consciousness.
The golden dragon phantom charges in with a roar, ready to wreak absolute havoc. But the moment it breaks in,
All of its ferocity grinds to a sudden halt.
At the deepest part of your sea of consciousness, a tiny spark of light formed by the divine emperor's source essence suddenly blazes to life.
That light is not blindingly bright.
Yet, it exuded a supreme, sovereign will, one that stood high above the myriad realms.
before this terrifying pressure,
The so-called pride of a true dragon was utterly laughable. Like an ant trying to show off its strength to the sun.
the miniature golden dragon froze instantly.
For the first time, a look of sheer terror and absolute submission filled its massive eyes.
It was like a tiny firefly running straight into the sun. That supreme will washed over it like a gentle spring breeze, instantly washing away all of its violent hostility. The little golden dragon let out a low, relieved whimper as its body dissolved into mist,
Turning into the purest soul energy and merging directly into your sea of consciousness.
Instantly, a warm current washed through your soul,
Bringing an incredibly soothing, euphoric wave of comfort.
your newly tempered soul was nourished once more,
Becoming even more pure and crystal clear.
Outside your mind, now without its guardian, the dragon soul primordial crystal's glow began to soften.
as if hearing a call. It floated gently and submissively right towards you.
Hovering just above your open palm.
We reached out, gently clasping the warm crystal.
Feeling the vast, ocean-like essence of life surging inside it.
You took a deep breath. With this in your hands, establishing your foundation,
And breaking through to the foundation establishment realm will be absolutely holding the dragon soul primordial crystal in your hand.
You could feel a force so vast, it would drive any ancient golden core expert completely mad with greed.
And right now, it was roaring inside your palm.
It felt like an entire sea of stars compressed into a marble, humming and buzzing, constantly whispering in your ear, "Swallow me, and you will ascend to the heavens in a single bound."
anyone else, blind to the danger,
Would have been completely blinded by this sheer ecstasy.
We would have rushed to find a spot to sit.
And desperately started absorbing every drop of it.
But you just stood there, quietly.
within a few seconds, the brief spark of heat in your eyes died out.
Replaced by a cold, icy calm.
Refining it just like this?
You almost laughed out loud. There is nothing more foolish in this world.
To a former god emperor like you,
This thing's rank is simply too high.
it is like forcing a baby to swallow an entire ox.
There would be only one end. Your body bursting to pieces, and your very soul. With your current body only at the 4th level of chi refinement, your meridians are as fragile as soggy noodles. Trying to forcefully refine this, at best with a sudden bang, you'd blow yourself up on the spot, turning into a puddle of raw energy. More likely, 99% of the energy will simply leak away and go to waste.
And the tiny bit of residue left behind will only pollute your foundation.
It will leave an ugly stain on your otherwise flawless Tao foundation.
For you, that would be a fate far worse than death itself. If you want to make perfect use of it,
I'll have to wait until at least
the foundation establishment stage, pair it with dozens of rare spiritual herbs, and set up the 9 rotations return to origin array.
only then can you extract every last drop of its power to serve as the building blocks for rebuilding your Tao foundation.
Your mind is terrifyingly sharp.
This thing isn't just a ceiling for your current level.
It's your ladder to the heavens in the future.
But as your eyes sweep over the energy pooling inside this dragon skull, so thick it's almost solid.
And then look down at the dragon soul crystal in your hand, glittering with golden light, leaving just like this.
Would be a massive waste. Sure, you can't touch the core itself,
But there's no harm in sipping the steam drifting off it, right? A brilliant, crazy plan instantly forms in your mind. Without wasting another second,
You walk right into the center of the furnace chamber and sit down cross-legged.
then you place the dragon soul crystal steadily on the ground, about a meter in front of you. Closing your eyes, you begin to circulate your foundational cultivation technique, the very one that took you to the peak as the divine emperor, the primordial chaos sutra.
your body instantly transforms into a small but infinitely powerful black vortex.
In the next second, the spiritual energy filling the entire furnace chamber rushes toward you like a bursting dam,
Forcing its way through every single pore of your body.
Without even needing much refinement, the primordial chaos sutra instantly converts it into the purest primordial true chi.
Even the dragon soul crystal resting nearby is drawn in by this immense suction. The golden mist drifting from its surface flows like tiny streams, merging into the vast river of energy inside you. If you were using any ordinary, your meridians would have been blown to pieces by this overbearing energy long ago. But primordial true chi is different. It assimilates all external energy with a force that is both brutal and incredibly gentle.
At the same time, it flushes, widens, and reinforces your fragile meridians. In an instant, the true chi inside you undergoes a massive, powerful upgrade. Mid-stage of level 4, late stage, peak level 4. Boom. In less than half an hour,
A soft, crisp sound echoes from within your body.
as a barrier has just been shattered. 2.
The 5th level of chi refinement, attained. An aura several times stronger than before violently erupts from your body.
Your Daintian has doubled in size,
And your meridians are unbelievably resilient now. Even your physical body has been thoroughly cleansed.
dark, grimy impurities slowly seeping out from your skin.
Slowly,
You open your eyes.
A flash of golden light gleams in your eyes.
You look down at the dragon's soul and find that the crystal's size and luster have barely changed at all. Just by inhaling a tiny bit of the remaining energy here, and a mere sliver of the aura it leaked, you easily broke through a whole level of cultivation without any bottlenecks. A divine level technique combined with top-tier talent,
The result is just that, insanely powerful. Pure satisfaction.
you stand up, feeling the surging power within your body, and nod in satisfaction. But you can't stay here for long.
If the aura of this thing leaks out,
It will bring massive trouble sooner or later. You carefully take out a jade box, casually place a few seals on it,
and put the source crystal inside.
Then, you rummage through the storage bag of the guy you took down earlier, pull out a breath-concealing talisman, and slap it on.
Only then is its aura completely shut out. With all that done, you take one last look at the empty dragon head cavern.
Turn around and leave. You got the loot. It's time to get the hell out. But the moment you step out of the dragon head cave, you immediately sense that something is off. The terrifying dragon pressure that felt like it would tear your soul apart is gone. No, it is rapidly fading.
Without the dragon soul crystal acting as its heart,
This dragon skeleton that stood for 10,000 years is rapidly losing its vitality. You look back and see that the massive, once jade-like dragon bones are losing their luster, degenerating from a divine artifact into mere ordinary bones. In a few decades, this place will turn into nothing but an ordinary, desolate graveyard.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, you whisper softly.
Consider this your final release, without the dragon pressure holding you back. Your journey down the mountain is incredibly fast. Your movement is swift as smoke, having advanced to the 5th level of chi refining.
the treacherous paths from before are now as easy as walking on flat ground.
But just as you near the foot of the mountain, you suddenly freeze. You look up, staring calmly at a mound about 100 meters away. Your soul has just been tempered, and your perception is insanely sharp. You can clearly sense 2 figures behind the mound, rapidly moving to flank you. Cold, ruthless, and radiating a familiar energy wave.
Those blood fiend sect bastards. A cold smirk plays on your lips.
Instead of running, you calmly stand your ground, waiting for them to show themselves. Sure enough, a few seconds later, 2 dark-robed figures darted out from behind the ancient mound. They flanked you, one on the left and one on the right, completely blocking your path.
The leader was a sinister, triangle-eyed man at level 7 of Qi condensation.
Next to him was a younger guy at level 6 of Qi condensation.
Both were significantly stronger than the one you had casually taken out earlier. The moment the triangle-eyed man appeared, his gaze locked dead onto your soul.
At the same time, he pulled out a shattered jade tablet. The lingering aura on the jade pointed directly at you. Junior Brother Lee's life tablet shattered right here.
The triangle-eyed man's voice was as grating as sandpaper, and you are the only living soul in this entire area. His eyes, like a venomous snake, scanned your incredibly young face. Young man, tell me, have you seen my junior brother Lee?
Or rather, is everything he had on him currently in your possession?
He didn't actually think you were the one who killed him.
In his eyes, there was no way a level 5 Qi condensation cultivator could defeat junior brother Lee, who was at level 6.
He figured Junior Brother Lee had met with some unfortunate demise.
And you were just a lucky bypasser who happened to scavenge his body.
Hearing this, you smirked. You raised a single finger and wagged it. You got 2 things wrong. Your voice wasn't loud.
Yet they heard every single word with crystal clarity.
First, it's not a matter of whether I've seen him or not. I personally sent him to his grave. The moment those words left your mouth,
Both of their expressions instantly changed.
the triangle-eyed man's gaze grew incredibly vicious. But you didn't even spare him a glance. You just carried on with your second point. And second, the things he had are indeed with me.
But I didn't scavenge them.
They are the rightful spoils of war from taking him down. You paused for a moment, letting your gaze sweep over them,
Carrying a hint of mocking amusement, as if you were looking at me.
So, do you two want to end up just like your junior brother and leave everything you have behind as my next spoils of war?
As soon as those words were spoken,
The air itself seemed to freeze.
the young disciple at level 6 of Qi condensation stared as if he had just heard the most ridiculous joke. He froze for a second, before his shock turned into furious laughter.
Ha, hectares! What unbelievable arrogance. A mere level 5 Qi condensation trash dares to speak to us like that?
Your brother, why waste your breath on him? Let me finish him off.
But the triangle-eyed man didn't laugh. He just kept his eyes locked dead on you.
This guy is way too calm. It is completely unnatural. No mere Qi refiner could ever have a look like that in their eyes. It is a gaze that looks down on everything, like nothing in this world even matters to him. When things get this weird, there is always a catch. He must be carrying some powerful magical artifact. The shifty-eyed man made his decision in an instant. Greed overpowered his lingering unease. Together, now. Make it quick. Don't give him a single second to react. Before the words even left his mouth, his figure blurred. A dagger dripping with dark, ominous energy was already flying through the air, streaking like a beam of corrupt light, straight for your chest. At the exact same moment, his junior brother sneered, channeling his energy to summon a deathly pale bone banner. Several shadowy, cackling ghouls lunged forward, clawing straight toward your head, one targeting the physical body, the other attacking the soul. Their coordination was flawless, their strikes vicious,
and deadly. They were clearly aiming for an instant, merciless kill. Facing this lethal, double-pronged attack, you merely let out a soft sigh. Well, alright. This is the perfect chance to see what the primordial power of a level 5 chi refiner can really do. You stood your ground, not moving an inch, only slowly raising your right hand, pressing two fingers together, like a sharp blade. In an instant, an aura 10,000 times more pure and domineering than their sinister energy erupted from your body with a deafening roar. At almost that exact millisecond, the pale ghouls and the deadly blade light slammed right in front of your face. The cackling ghouls reached you first. This was the most ruthless, soul-tearing technique of the Seven Fiend sect. Forget those of the same cultivation level. Even if someone with higher cultivation let these things infiltrate their mind, at best, they would be driven completely insane, and at worst, their soul would be ripped apart on the spot. A sadistic grin spread across the young disciple's face, as if he could already see you clutching your head, screaming in agony. But in the very next second, his smile instantly froze solid. Just as those grotesque ghouls got within 1 meter of you, it was as if they slammed into a glowing, red-hot iron wall. There was no explosion, only a horrific searing hiss, like ice throwing itself onto a blazing furnace, the primordial power naturally radiating around your body.
Was, to these foul, wicked entities,
The most lethal poison in existence. In an instant, the ghouls shrieked in agony as they were vaporized into nothingness. Their spell was completely shattered. That disciple felt as if he had been struck by a devastating blow. Golden light immediately spilled from his mouth, his face turning deathly pale. His eyes were filled with absolute terror, as if he had just seen a ghost. His soul-targeting secret technique was instantly dissolved by your protective true chi. How is this even possible? And at that exact moment, the triangular-eyed man's lethal blade reached your throat. He poured absolutely all his strength into this strike, confident that even someone at the 8th layer of chi refining wouldn't dare face it head-on. But your next move was so simple, it drove him to utter despair. Your right hand, with fingers joined like a sharp arrow, struck second, but arrived first. Without any flashy, unnecessary moves, you just gently tapped forward. With a sharp crack, a scene unfolded that terrified him to his very core. On the tip of your finger, which looked no different from a normal mortal's, lingered a faint, almost invisible trace of chaotic energy. It landed flawlessly, right on the very tip of his blade. A force of such high quality, it was beyond his comprehension. Surged violently up the blade. Crack. His low-grade spiritual short blade couldn't even last half a second. It shattered inch by inch starting from the tip, and the triangular-eyed man only had time to let out a desperate roar. But that finger, having shattered his weapon, pressed forward with undiminished momentum, tapping effortlessly right between his brows. Leaving only a tiny, subtle wound, the light in his eyes instantly went out, and he fell straight backward like a log. Even at the moment of his death, he couldn't understand why he, a cultivator at the 7th layer of chi refining, would suffer such a swift and effortless defeat. Senior brother! The remaining disciple's soul practically fled his body in sheer terror, letting out a panicked shriek. It turned and transformed into a streak of light, using some kind of life force. Burning, secret technique to flee madly. You didn't even spare him a single glance, merely flicked your finger. And a slender thread of energy shot through the air, moving countless times faster than his streak of light. In midair, the streak of light abruptly froze, and then exploded like a burst of energy fireworks, its body blowing to pieces. As the wind blew past, you were the only one left standing, as if you had simply swatted away 2 annoying flies. From the moment they attacked to their total annihilation, the entire process took less than 3 seconds. The primordial true chi of the 5th layer of chi refining was indeed more than enough to handle trash like this. You now have a solid grasp on your current combat strength. 1. In terms of the sheer quality of your energy, ordinary late-stage chi refining cultivators are no different from paper dolls in front of you. You step forward. Slowly, you expertly snatch the storage bags off their bodies, sweeping them with your divine sense. The haul isn't bad. Around 100 spirit stones, a handful of elixir pills, and in the triangle-eyed man's bag, you find a token engraved with the words Sha Alliance, alongside half of a torn map. The destination marked on the map is a place called Black Wind Ravine. It looks like these bastards had other plans in this ancient sea. You casually pocket the items. With a flick of your wrist, 2 fireballs shoot out, burning every single trace on the ground to ashes. Once everything is taken care of, you orient yourself, blur into motion, and quickly vanish into the endless, misty white plains. You don't rush to travel across the vast, desolate plains, finding a hollow surrounded by giant skeletal rib bones. You quickly set up a breath-concealing array, sit down cross-legged, and begin taking inventory of your loot. Those 2 freshly looted storage bags are your most practical resources right now. Spirit stones and pills. You cast a quick glance over them, getting a rough estimate. But what truly catches your interest is that torn beastskin map and the Shar Alliance token. Spreading out the map, you notice the material is highly unusual. The Canobar lines point deep into the ancient sea, right toward a place called Black Wind Ravine. They certainly came prepared. Sending your divine sense into that black iron token, you immediately sense a faint, guiding pull. Sure enough, it points to Black Wind Ravine too. For a place to be targeted by a demonic sect like the Sar Alliance, there must be something incredible hidden there. Should you return to the sect, to safely establish your foundation.
Or seek fortune amidst danger.
And took a gamble at Blackwind Ravine? In your past life, you might have chickened out. But now, you know all too well that once you miss an opportunity, it's gone forever. Whatever a demonic sect covets is bound to be a dark, sinister, and incredibly powerful treasure. The golden light flashes in your eyes, and a wild, daring thought explodes in your mind. The primordial chaos art can convert any energy in existence. Someone else's deadly poison could be my ultimate tonic. If I can get my hands on an extremely yin treasure and combine it with the Dragon Soul scripture inside my body to balance yin and yang, maybe I can even forge the legendary Yin-Yang Chaos Heaven Stealing Foundation. Once this thought crossed your mind, there was no holding it back. Of course, there are risks, but you quickly made up your mind. Even though you were only at the chi condensation stage, your divine soul was already comparable to a foundation, as long as you didn't run into those old monsters of the foundation establishment stage. With your methods, if you wanted to leave, no one could stop you. Let's do it! You packed up your things, dismantled the defensive array, and stood up. You didn't blindly follow the map in a straight line like someone clueless. Relying on the experience of your past life, you bypassed several areas where your intuition told you danger lurked. In this ancient sea, besides demonic beasts, there were also mist wraiths that specialized in targeting the soul. They were a nightmare for others. But before your powerful divine sense, they had nowhere to hide. Half a day later, you stopped in your tracks. The scenery before you was completely different from the world of bones behind you. The skeletal remains on the ground had turned a creepy grayish black. A bone-chilling ghostly wind howled through the air, wailing dismally as if it could blow a person's very soul away. A deep, long, and massive chasm lay across the horizon, looking like a massive scar on the earth. At the mouth of the valley, the black wind whipped up bone fragments, making a sound like wailing ghosts and howling. You had arrived at the black wind chasm. Standing 100 meters away from the entrance, you squinted to size it up. Under your primordial Dharma eye, the entire ravine was shrouded in a layer of black, malevolent chi so thick it wouldn't disperse. Its source pointed directly to the deepest depths of the chasm. And within that dense, malevolent chi, you caught a glimpse of an unusual, flickering, spiritual intelligence. Interesting. A smirk played on your lips. Is this place actually about to breed a malevolent spirit? This thing is a spirit condensed from the purest yin malevolent chi. A natural-born spiritual treasure. It is also an extremely toxic, wicked entity. If you could capture its core before it fully takes form, it would be an ultimate treasure for both artifact refining and cultivation. So that's how it is. This must be the real target of the Seven Fiends sect. For your concept of the Yin-Yang Chaos Heaven Stealing Foundation, this malevolent spirit was like a piece of fat meat delivered right to your mouth by heaven itself. Without further hesitation, you circulated your primordial true chi throughout your entire body, forming an invisible protective shield. You could have stepped forward, venturing into the ghost-wailing, howling depths of the black wind chasm. The moment you entered the ravine, you felt the difference. The air here is so thick, it feels like pitch black ink that won't wash away. It's completely filled with chilling, malevolent energy, swirling like a mad storm. It claws at you, desperate to force its way into your body. If it were any other chi-refining cultivator, staying here for long would drive them straight into chi deviation. But you are completely in your element. Your primordial chaos art begins to circulate on its own, and the moment this malevolent energy enters your body, it is effortlessly refined and absorbed. Instead, it becomes a perfect tonic to boost your cultivation. You can't help but murmur in admiration. Masking your aura, you spread out your divine sense and cautiously make your way deeper inside. Along the way, you feel several prying eyes watching you. They are fiendish beasts, corrupted by the dark energy, coupled together from various rotting bones. Eyes flashing with a green glow, a giant skeletal wolf lunges at you from behind a boulder. Its claws, shrouded in dark energy, aim straight for your back, targeting your heart. Without even turning your head, you strike back, landing an effortless blow right on its forehead. There is no loud explosion, not even a sound. That beast, with power comparable to the late chi refining stage, instantly melts like snow under a scorching sun, rapidly dissolving from head to toe until nothing is left but a wisp of smoke. Absolute power is the foundation of everything. You don't even slow your pace. After venturing a few more miles deep, you finally come to a halt. Ahead lies a massive, sprawling basin. The scene at the center of the basin is absolutely horrifying. A massive array, over 100 meters in diameter, is drawn on the ground with beast essence and cinnabar, sending a foul stench straight to the sky. At the formation's nodes stand several altars built from human bones. 7 or 8 disciples from the Seven Fiends sect are sitting cross-legged around the array, channeling their spiritual energy into it. Leading them is a grim-faced young man at the peak of the 9th stage of chi refining, only 1 step away from foundation establishment. He isn't assisting them, but simply stands at the edge of the array with his hands behind his back, staring intently at a bottomless pit in the center of the basin. You hide behind a massive boulder, concealing your aura to the absolute limit, blending in like a silent rock. The enemy's main force is all here. The 2 you dealt with earlier were clearly just sentries on the outer perimeter. Just then, one of the disciples turns pale and calls out, "Senior brother Wei Ying!" The surge of dark energy is getting stronger and stronger. Is that thing about to come out? What's the rush? Muttered the young man known as Ghost Shadow, his voice chillingly cold. The elder calculated that it takes 3 grams of the evil spirit's essence to fully take form. Only then can we pull in the net and claim our victory. He paused. a trace of greed and bitterness playing at the corner of his mouth. If I could just refine this thing, reaching Foundation establishment would be an absolute guarantee.
Too bad it's reserved for that person back in the sect.
You watch the scene unfold, taking it all in. You know exactly what's going on. But rushing out to play the hero and deliver justice?
You are not that foolish.
You remain quietly in hiding, like an experienced hunter, waiting for the perfect moment. Rushing out now would cost you dearly, even if you did manage to win, and you might end up letting the evil spirit escape. The best strategy is always to sit back and watch the tigers fight.
Once they and that creature tear each other to pieces, that's when I will step onto the stage.
Your gaze is as calm as deep, still water, as if you were watching a play whose ending has already been written. You, the patient predator waiting in the background, are already in position. Minutes and seconds slowly tick by, and the air inside the basin grows heavier and more suffocating. Even the wind has completely died down. Suddenly, a thunderous boom echoes from deep underground, shaking the entire basin. "It's here," growled Ghost Shadow, his eyes flashing with a sharp, golden light. He pours all his power into the array, preparing to close the net and seal the darkness. No sooner had his voice fallen than a dense, pitch-black mist surged violently out of the cavern, shooting straight into the sky. Then, a piercing, blood-curdling shriek of a maniacal laughter erupted from the swirling pillar of mist. The sound waves rippled outward in visible waves, slamming into the surroundings. The two Seven Fiends sect disciples standing closest to it groaned in pain. Blood instantly seeping from their eyes, ears, noses. They collapsed, instantly knocked unconscious. "Useless trash!" Ghost Shadow barked, taking a sudden step forward. He threw a bronze mirror into the air, unleashing a barrier of light to block the shockwaves. "Hold the line, everyone! Just survive this, and the prize is ours." The remaining disciples finally snapped out of their daze, biting down hard on the tips of their tongues to focus, and desperately poured their spiritual energy into the array. The crimson light of the barrier slammed violently against the black pillar of mist. As the black mist began to thin and settle, you finally caught a clear look at the true face of the beast. A pitch-black infant, barely a foot tall.
Its features are completely blurry, except for its eyes. Two blood-red whirlpools.
Right in the middle of its chest, a fist-sized heart of black crystal beats violently. That is the baleful spirit. Now!
Greed flares wildly in Gwing's eyes.
He hurls a mystic mirror into the air
and pulls a small golden net from his robes, throwing it forward.
The golden net expands instantly in the wind, growing into a colossal web that blocks out the sky. It descends right over the black infant's head.
Sensing the threat, the black infant,
striking in fury, and unleashes a spear of baleful energy straight at the net. But the golden net is a magic treasure designed specifically to counter it. The spear's impact only dims the golden light for a split second before the runes dissolve it completely. The massive net traps the baleful spirit with flawless precision. "We did it!" One disciple can't help but shout.
"Don't celebrate too soon," Gwing warns, his face grim.
His hands blur as he forms hand seals. "Unleash all your power to drive the array. Help me refine it."
Trapped, the baleful spirit struggles frantically.
Every collision makes the golden net flash wildly, and with each strike, Gwing's face turns a shade paler. The remaining 5 disciples push themselves to their absolute limits, locking them in a brutal, exhausting tug of war. Gwing and his disciples grow increasingly breathless, clearly on the brink of collapse. Meanwhile, hiding in the distance, your eyes gleam brighter and brighter. The time has come.
You move. There is no grand display of power.
No flashes of light. Like a phantom, you glide silently across the ground, stepping perfectly in sync with the howling wind. In the center of the basin, Gwing is entirely focused on controlling the magic treasure, while the 5 disciples behind him have long since turned deathly pale. They are at the end of their rope, the exact opening you have been waiting for. Stopping 10 paces from the array, you draw your sword. It appears silently in your hand as a wisp of chaotic true chi slowly flows into the blade. In the next moment, your figure vanishes into thin air. Only a few faint, muffled thuds echo, drowned out by the howling wind and roaring spirit. The 5 Chuxing sect disciples suddenly stiffen, a bloody wound appearing between their brows without warning. Even as their life fades, they have no idea where the blow came from. Like a ghost, you materialize behind them, your sword pristine without a single drop of blood. 1 strike, 5 lives. The moment they fall, the array's energy source is severed. The light of the massive soul-refining baleful array dims instantly before completely shattering. What? This sudden turn of events shakes Gwing to his core. With the array's support gone, the immense pressure of the baleful spirit trapped within the net crashes entirely onto his shoulders. It hits him like a sledgehammer, sending blood spraying from his mouth as a stinging pain pierces his soul. He whips his head around, only to see 5 lifeless corpses, and you, standing in the shadows, sword in hand, your expression as cold as ice. "You!" Gwing's pupils shrink to pinpricks. An indescribable chill shoots from his spine straight to his skull. A mere 5th-level chi refinement cultivator. How is this possible? But you don't give him a single second to think. The moment he turns, his mind in disarray, you move. With a light tap of your toe, you turn into a streak of azure lightning, instantly closing the gap. Merging body and sword. Your speed is absolute. Ultimate sharpness. He is begging for death. Sensing his imminent death, Ghost Shadow roars, slamming down an ancient black shield to block you. But your sword is just too fast. That shield is as fragile as paper. It is pierced through in an instant. With undiminished force, your blade thrusts straight for his heart. The light barrier from his protective talisman only holds for a single second.
But your magic sword has already run him straight through. Ghost Shadow's body freezes right in place. He looks down, staring in utter disbelief at the long sword piercing through his chest. The life in his eyes quickly begins to fade.
"Why?" he mutters, his mouth hanging open. With a tilt of his head, his breath leaves him completely. Yet, your expression remains dead calm. You slowly draw your sword. The mantis is gone. Now your gaze finally shifts up toward that massive, glittering golden net in midair, and the black infant inside, howling in a mad frenzy. It is time for the Oriole to claim its prize.
A deathly silence falls over the basin.
The only sound left comes from that golden net hovering in the air. The evil spirit continues its furious thrashing, but with Ghost Shadow dead, there is no one left to power the spirit binding net. Its golden light begins to fade,
Shaking violently, like a leaf in the wind.
It looks like it could tear apart at any second. Yet, there is not a single trace of panic on your face. You just watch calmly, as if admiring a masterpiece that already belongs to you. An ownerless piece of junk. Trying to hold on to my prize?
You whisper softly.
In the next split second, a spiritual consciousness as vast as the ocean erupts from your body. It is so incredibly dense and solid, it feels entirely physical, shaping itself into a massive, invisible hand. It reaches out with brutal precision, grabbing the entire spirit-binding net in its fist.
Ghost Shadow's lingering soul imprint on the net is weak, flickering like a candle in the wind.
The moment your consciousness touches it, it is like pouring boiling hot oil onto fresh snow, completely erasing his mark in an instant. With a sharp hum, the spirit-binding net vibrates, completely stripped of its old master. With a single thought,
Whisper.
retrieve. The massive golden net, spanning hundreds of feet, instantly shrinks. The runes on the net flare to life, one after another, unleashing a terrifying sealing force that wraps tightly around the infant-like evil spirit. The evil spirit lets out its most agonizing, blood-curdling shriek as its body is violently crushed by the shrinking net. Finally, with a soft pop, it condenses into a fist-sized, pitch-black crystal. So, this is the baleful star, the very core of the evil spirit.
With a wave of your hand,
The spirit-retrieving net obediently flies right back to you, carrying the glowing core.
it shrinks rapidly until it fits right in your palm.
Resting gently in your hand alongside the baleful star.
But you are in no hurry to refine it.
Instead, you turn around and walk over to the shattered remains of the Ghost Shadow. With practiced ease, you snatch the storage bag hanging from his waist, sending your divine sense inside to sweep through it. You find about 100 low-grade spirit stones, several bottles of pills, a few cheap low-grade cultivation jade slips, and that bronze mirror you shattered so easily with a single sword strike. Well, it is better than nothing.
You casually put away the storage bag and turn to strip the storage bags from the other unlucky bastards as well.
Every little bit helps, after all. Finally, your gaze lands on the two disciples, who are still knocked out cold. With a casual flick of your fingers, two sharp, slender beams of sword chi shoot forth, pierce straight through their foreheads, with absolute precision.
No hesitation. No mercy.
When you strike, you leave no survivors. That is the simplest, most brutal rule you learn through a lifetime of blood and suffering. After thoroughly wiping away any trace of the battle, you find a clean boulder, sit down cross-legged, and hold the pitch-black, baleful star in your open palm. You can feel its icy, violent, yet incredibly pure energy pulsing against your skin, using the dual forces of yin and yang to manifest the way of chaos.
Today, I take the very first step toward rebuilding my Dao foundation.
Taking a deep, steady breath, you trigger the primordial chaos art inside you, forcing it to spin at a manic piss. The next instant, you open your mouth and swallow that terrifying baleful star, an object deadly enough to obliterate a foundation establishment cultivator. In one boom, a monstrous torrent of energy, carrying 10,000 years of raw malice and fury from the Black Wind Ravine, explodes violently inside your body. A chaotic onslaught of savage, maddening thoughts crashes into your sea of consciousness like a bursting dam, desperately trying to tear your mind apart and turn you into a mindless beast of pure destruction. But they picked the wrong target. Deep within your mind, the ancient soul of the divine emperor, the one who once ruled over 10,000 realms. His eyes flash with a sharp, majestic light, and a cold snort, echoing from primeval times, resounds within your mind. The colossal spiritual pressure, heavy as a sacred mountain, instantly crushes every single chaotic thought. Under this terrifying pressure, the mountain of malicious thoughts feels like ants facing a heavenly dragon. They are ground into absolute dust on the spot, and instead, transform into the purest energy to nourish your own soul. At the same time, the mass of true chaos energy in your Dante acts like a hungry beast catching a scent
And greedily lunges forward to devour the feast.
The violent, icy evil energy is instantly tamed the moment it touches your true primordial energy, as if encountering its ultimate natural enemy. Every bit of its hostility and sharp edges is ground away, bit by bit, fully purified and absorbed. This is a process of refining the essence and purging the dross. What you need is its purest yin energy, not that low-grade, filthy malice.
Who knows how much time has passed
Suddenly, your tightly shut eyes snap open. In your left eye, a deep, dark vortex flashes and vanishes in an instant. Looking inward, at the center of the chaotic vortex in your core, it is still you. But around its outer edge, a stream of pure, pitch-black yin energy is slowly orbiting in a profound, mysterious trajectory. One is black,
The other is white.
not only is there no conflict, but they actually form a wondrous balance. You can clearly feel that your foundation is more stable than ever before. The very quality of your spiritual energy has undergone an earth-shattering transformation. Naturally, your cultivation base has also broken through to the 6th layer to chi refining. Your yin is now complete. Slowly rising to your feet, you clench your fists, feeling that brand new power surging within you. Your eyes are calm and deep. Half of my Tao foundation has been laid. Next, it's time to find that extreme yang object. Turning around, you take one last look at the Black Wind ravine behind you, a place that holds no more secrets. With a flicker of your body, you transform into a streak of the cyan-red streak of light pierces the dawn, quietly landing on a nameless mountain peak. Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, your night of rapid travel has completely left that den of trouble behind. Sitting cross-legged, you inspect your body. Your cultivation at the 6th layer of chi refining is now completely stable. That stream of extreme yin energy in your dantian gives you a natural affinity for the cold, dark, spiritual energies of heaven and earth. Your ability to conceal your aura and hide your presence has also risen to a whole new level. It's as if you were born to be a child of the night. If merely completing half of the Yin-Yang Chaos Tao Foundation brings such benefits, what spectacular sight will it be when yin and yang merge and chaos returns to one? A flash of anticipation crosses your eyes, but you quickly compose yourself and begin to ponder the practical matters. An extreme yang object. In the treasury of the Divine Emperor's memories in your mind, there are countless such things. The Li Fire essence in the Earth's core, lightning-struck wood forged by tribulations, crimson yang essence condensed under the blazing sun. But every single one of these is a rare, heavenly treasure. Trying to find them by wandering aimlessly on your own would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. In the cultivation world, the place where information is most concentrated is always the cultivator markets. From the memory fragments of this body, you dig up a name. The Yunhei Market. That is the largest cultivator city within a radius of several thousand miles. Now, you have a clear goal. But before that, you need to make some preparations. You just eliminated a core disciple of the Seven Fiends sect. There's no way they will let this go. The identity of Lingmo cannot be used for the time being. The able, you rummage through Guiying's storage bag, pull out a set of ordinary black martial attire to change into, and use a low-grade bone-shifting technique to slightly alter your facial features. Now, you look just like an ordinary road-weary rogue cultivator. Even your age has become quite ambiguous. Having done all this, you choose your direction, deciding not to fly on your sword. Instead, you head toward the Yunhei Market at a steady, unhurried pace. 5 days later, at the end of the plains, a majestic, towering city looms in your sight. Its walls tower high, shimmering with flowing runes, as a massive protective barrier of light envelops the entire city. At the city gates, an endless stream of people from all walks of life, some flying on swords, some riding spiritual beasts, and others walk. This is a world infinitely more vast, complex, and exciting than the Qingfeng sect or the Black Wind Ravine. You stood in the distance, watching quietly for a moment, erasing the very last trace of your aura, as Lin Mo, the Bree sect disciple. Replacing it was the wary, weather-beaten edge of a rogue cultivator. Pulling down your bamboo hat, you blended into the bustling crowd, walking with steady, deliberate steps toward the massive city. A brand new starting point lay right beneath your feet. The moment you stepped through the city gates, a unique scent blasted you in the face. Chaotic mix of spiritual and raw beast materials. Entry fee is 1 low-grade spirit stone. The guard's voice was as cold as ice. You calmly handed it over. Rules were rules. A massive stone monument by the road bore several deeply carved lines. Private fighting is strictly forbidden within the city. Violators will have their cultivation stripped. Trade freely. All risks are your own. For cave-dwelling rentals, register in the East District. Simple, blunt, but highly effective. With a clear goal in mind, you didn't bother browsing the dazzling array of shops. You cut straight through the streets, finally stopping in front of an ancient, 3-story wooden building. The plaque above read, Breeze Pavilion. This was a tea house. The perfect chaotic hub where information flowed most freely. Welcome, esteemed guest. Just one? A waiter greeted you warmly. In a raspy, disguised voice, he replied, 2nd floor, by the window. Coming right up. He led you to a quiet corner on the 2nd floor. You ordered a pot of the cheapest cloud mist spiritual tea and sat in silence. At that moment, a microscopic thread of your divine sense spread out quietly like an invisible spider web, blanketing the entire 2nd floor. With your powerful soul strength, even a golden core cultivator sitting right across from you wouldn't notice you were eavesdropping. I heard the young master of the Tinsha sect is coming to our market soon. Rumor has it it's for the grand auction in 3 months. Last time in the Monster Beast Mountains, I almost died to an ironback wolf, the youth-retaining pill that Fairy Lee was obsessed with. Most of it was just useless gossip. You listened patiently, like an old hunter waiting for his prey. Finally, The conversation of a few scruffy rogue cultivators sitting nearby caught your attention.
What awful luck. A heavily bearded man cursed, passing out a wave of rage in his throat. He slammed his teacup heavily onto the table, complaining bitterly to his companions. I was planning to head to the Chang mountain range to harvest a few stalks of red sungrass to trade for some spirit stones. Who would have thought those bastards from the Dengxia sect would lock down the entire mountain? Brother Liu, you are seriously out of the loop.
Nearby, a shifty-looking cultivator with a rat-like face snickered. They've sealed off the mountain for almost a whole month now.
Word has it
that the earth fire deep in the Chang mountains flared up so intensely, it actually alerted the Grand Elder of the Dengxia sect.
those greedy bastards just want it all to themselves.
The earth fire flared up. A bearded man nearby gasped, completely stunned.
A fierce look of greed instantly flashed in his eyes.
That's a once-in-a-millennium chance. Earth fire is the purest essence of the Earth's yang energy.
Whenever it stirs like this, a supreme yang treasure is bound to be born.
Like an earth fire lotus.
Or even Xiang Golden Marrow.
Shh. Keep your voice down. The third cultivator, who had been dead silent the entire time, quickly cut him off. If anyone from the Dengxia sect overhears this, how many lives do you think you have to lose? They have a nascent soul ancestor. A powerhouse sect like that can crush us like ants. The bearded man immediately shrank back, all his bravado vanishing in an instant.
He sheepishly picked up his teacup, not daring to utter another word.
Yet, their conversation struck your mind like a sudden clap of thunder. The Dengxia sect, the Qiyao mountain range, the flaring earth fire, and a supreme yang treasure. Every single word hit you right where it mattered. The malevolent spirit of your black blade is a concentration of raw yin energy. But the earth fire in the Chang Mountains is the pure, concentrated yang energy of the earth itself.
If a companion treasure has indeed been born alongside it,
its properties will perfectly counter and balance your blade's malevolent spirit.
To think I searched far and wide, only to find it right here.
What a stroke of absolute luck. Lift your teacup and take a slow, quiet sip. Beneath the shadow of your bamboo hat, a faint, knowing smirk plays on your lips.
Tossing down a few pieces of low-grade spirit stone to pay for the tea, you stand up and quietly slip out of the listening wind pavilion, blending right back into the bustling crowd.
This time, your objective is crystal clear.
But before you head to the Eastern District and snatch food right from the tiger's mouth, the Dengxia sect in the Qiang Mountains, you hit a temporary place to settle down and plan your next move. The Yuna Pavilion in the Eastern District is the exact place that handles cave-dwelling rentals.
You step into the Grand Hall. Middle-aged cultivator at the mid-foundation establishment stage sits behind the counter with his eyes shut. He doesn't even bother to open his eyes as you approach.
Senior, I would like to rent a cave dwelling. You speak in a disguised, raspy voice. The man recites, we have 4 grades, A, B, C, and D. Grade A is 300 spirit stones a month and requires proof of foundation establishment.
Which one do you want?
His voice is flat and robotic, as if he is reading from a textbook.
Grade C, for 3 months. You answer without a moment's hesitation.
It's the least conspicuous choice. Imprint your divine sense here,
he says, tossing over a jade token. You do as instructed. That will be 90 low-grade spirit stones. You hand over the payment without a second thought. A line of words lights up on the jade token. Ding, 73. East Mountain, Ding District, number 73. The middle-aged cultivator finishes speaking and closes his eye. You take the jade token, turn around, and leave. Before long, you find your own cave dwelling on the cliffside. The barrier of light ripples open like water. You slip right inside. Behind you, the barrier closes, completely cutting off the inside from the outside world.
The cave dwelling is incredibly simple. Just a single stone room and a meditation mat. But the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is constantly channeling in through the formation.
So it doesn't compare to Blackwind Peak. It is far more peaceful and pure. More than enough. After confirming there are no traces of surveillance, you finally let your guard down. You sit down cross-legged
And pour out all the spoils from your recent battle.
in Ghost Shadow's storage bag. Besides that spirit net and those spiritual stones,
You pull a pitch-black talisman paper from a stack of seemingly ordinary talismans.
a shadow demon talisman? A flash of surprise crosses your eyes. Once this thing is activated,
It can completely merge your body and aura into the shadows.
even a late foundation establishment cultivator might not detect you. That ghost shadow guy actually had some good stuff.
too bad he never got the chance to use it. You carefully put the talisman away.
It will be incredibly useful for your upcoming plans. Then, you begin to calmly calculate your move to infiltrate the Dengxia sect.
The Dengxia sect is courting death, but you can only win this by wit. Your ultimate advantage is the vision of a divine emperor, your vast knowledge, and your cunning strategy.
A plan slowly begins to take shape in your mind.
First, intelligence.
You need a detailed map of the Chayang Mountains.
Especially the exact location of the earth-fire fluctuations.
This will have to be obtained through special means.
Second, strength. The 6th level of Qi refining is simply too low. You must reach the late stage of Qi refining as soon as possible, preferably the 9th level.
Every bit of strength you gain
Increases your chances of success.
Finally, the timing. When the Dengxia sect heals off the mountain, they will surely be relaxed on the outside.
But the massive auction mentioned at the Tingfeng Tower might draw the attention of the sect's higher-ups. By then, the defenses around the sealed area are bound to have loopholes.
Intelligence, strength, and timing.
None of these three can be missing.
You mutter to yourself.
Your thoughts clearer than they have ever been.
Pushing all other thoughts aside,
You sweep away the miscellaneous items, leaving only a mountain of spiritual stones. Clutching one in each hand, you close your eyes.
the grand primordial chaos art quietly begins to circulate.
A fierce, domineering power surges from your palm. The two hard spirit stones lose their color, turning gray and lifeless right before your eyes. They crumble into dust, while the pure spiritual energy streams into your body like two flowing rivers.
And just like that, inside this tiny cave dwelling,
A meticulous plan against a massive empire and a silent, grueling cultivation journey begin at the exact same time. A month slips by quietly while you are lost in deep cultivation. You open your eyes.
a flash of golden light flickers across them. Level 7 of chi refining.
Perfect. You feel the spiritual energy inside you. Now, a fraction stronger than it was a month ago. But instead of celebrating, you frown.
It's too slow. And worse, you are practically dirt poor. The 100 plus spirit stones you shook down from Ghost Shadow are long gone.
If you hadn't sold off every piece of useless junk you owned,
Wouldn't even be able to pay the rent for this cave dwelling.
To make matters worse, the very first step of your revenge, getting a map, has hit a complete dead end.
In the established shops of the Yuno market, the moment you mention the Dancia sect or the Qianglongtun range, the shopkeeper's face is sour, as if you owe them money. They either shut their mouths or shake their heads. Playing by the rules isn't going to work.
it looks like there's only one place left to go.
You stand up. You push open the door. The night is thick and dark,
Perfect for doing things that should stay in the shadows.
instead of heading toward the brightly lit center of the market.
You dive straight into the most remote, darkest alleyways. These alleys are like the city's capillaries.
Twisting and turning endlessly.
Finally, you stop at a dead end called Black Snake Alley. There is a stench of rot in the air. A rancid, decaying smell that would keep both regular people and ghosts far away.
But you've been staking this place out for half a month.
You've already figured out how things work here.
Leaning against the wall, you begin to wait in silence.
Like a predator, waiting for its prey.
Minutes turn into hours.
Then, sure enough, the stone wall at the end of the alley suddenly ripples like water.
A figure wrapped in a black cloak slips right through without a second thought.
Now's your chance.
Golden light flashes in your eyes. Your body darts forward like a ghost.
Before the ripples on the stone wall can fade, you slip in right behind them.
Suddenly, the view opens up.
This is the underbelly of Yuanhark. A wide, sprawling underground street.
The light is dim and shadows run deep. The dim, flickering lanterns cast an eerie glow over faces hidden beneath hoods and masks. Not a single soul speaks.
The silence is dead and eerie. The items laid out on the stalls are rare, dangerous goods you'd never find in the regular markets.
Magical treasures pulsing with energy,
Shady elixirs of mysterious origins.
and even skulls sealing resentful spirits. This is the ghost market.
But you have zero interest in these useless trinkets. Without looking left or right, you walk straight toward the end of the street.
There stands a black pavilion with no sign or name. Two black armored guards in the Foundation establishment stage stand at the entrance like gatekeepers, radiating an icy, forbidding aura.
The Shadow Pavilion, the information hub of the ghost market. The moment you approach, an iron-gloved hand blocks your path.
The guard's voice sounds like two pieces of metal grinding together.
I'm buying information. You. Lower your gaze.
Behind the helmet, his eyes scan you up and down for a long moment.
As if sizing up whether you're here to cause trouble. Finally, he steps aside and lets you pass.
Inside, the pavilion is even darker than the street outside. A raspy, ancient voice drifts from behind a black screen. What are you looking for? A detailed map of the Qiang mountain range.
You cut straight to the chase. With no time for idle chatter. I need the most recent one.
Including the patrol routes of the Dancia sect.
And the general areas of the earth-fire activity. The moment the words leave your mouth.
You clearly feel the aura behind the screen flicker.
Heh. Bold words for a little kid.
Do you even know what you're asking for? This information is too hot to handle. I only want to know if you have it.
And how much it costs. Your voice remains completely flat.
As if you're just asking the price of a head of cabbage.
Silence falls behind the screen. He's probably wondering where a rogue cultivator like you, who looks to be only at the 7th level of chi condensation, gets this kind of confidence. We have it, of course.
The old voice carries a hint of pride.
500 low-grade spirit stones a copy. Non-negotiable.
500. Buy.
This number makes your heart skip a beat. These info brokers, their hearts are even darker than their pavilion.
Too expensive? The old voice sneers.
This information was bought with lives. It could draw the attention and investigation of the Dancia sect at any second. I'm already giving you a discount, just because you have the guts.
Now speak. What do you want with this thing?
I'm just a rogue cultivator.
Without batting an eye, you spin a tale about tracking a scarlet flame rhino.
A story you prepared beforehand rolls off your tongue. You claim you got the beast's core because, luckily, no one from the Dancia sect was around to fight you for it.
Fortune favors the bold.
It's as simple as that.
The excuse is absolutely airtight.
Instantly, you establish your persona as a reckless hothead who values money over his own life.
Silence falls behind the screen once again. We in the Shadow Pavilion only sell information. We don't clean up your mess.
The raspy old voice rings out again. 50 spirit stones as a deposit. Come back in 3 days.
Remember, We only recognize the token, not the person.
A black iron token flies out from behind the screen and lands right in front of you.
You pick up the iron token.
You quickly count out 50 spirit stones, leave them on the ground, turn around, and walk away, without wasting a single word.
The moment you return to the surface,
You let out a long sigh of relief. The source of information is sorted out, but a more pressing problem remains. The other 450 spirit stones. Where on earth are you going to get that kind of money in 3 days? 450 spirit stones in just 3 days. This massive debt would crush any ordinary chi condensation rogue cultivator.
But as you walk down the brightly lit streets of Yunnan Market,
Your eyes are as calm as a deep, still pool.
pressure? In your past life, every single bottleneck you faced was 10,000 times more dangerous than this.
hunting spiritual beasts is too slow.
Peaking on guild missions pays next to nothing. As for alchemy or making talismans, you don't even have the starting capital.
Ultimately, your footsteps stop at the open-air rogue cultivator market in the west district of the town. This is the lowest and most chaotic corner of the entire market.
But you aren't here to hunt for bargain treasures.
You are here to create your own market. You find an abandoned corner, lay down a tattered cloth,
And pick up a wooden board. Focusing your spiritual energy, you carve a few lines of text directly onto it. Then, you sit cross-legged and close your eyes.
Your mysterious vibe is completely out of place in this bustling crowd.
And soon, someone approaches out of curiosity. They read the words on the wooden board aloud. Guidance through cultivation bottlenecks.
Correcting flaws in cultivation techniques with instant results. Provable by your own chi sensation.
Each session costs 2 low-grade spirit stones. Reading this, the man couldn't help but burst into laughter.
Have you lost your mind?
A mere chi condensation cultivator actually dares to guide others in their cultivation.
20 spirit stones. Why doesn't he just go and rob a bank?
His laughter acted like a signal, instantly drawing a crowd of drama-loving onlookers who jeered.
He must be out of his mind, dreaming of spirit stones.
The mocking voices rose and fell, but you didn't even bother to look up. You remained completely unfazed. Your absolute composure actually made a few people start to hesitate.
Just then,
A worried-looking, burly man squeezed through the crowd, staring intently at your sign. He had been stuck at the 5th level of chi refining for a very long time. His aura was weak and unstable.
clearly on the very verge of chi deviation.
Is what you wrote actually true?
If it doesn't work, do I get my spirit stones back?
The burly man's voice carried the desperation of a drowning man grabbing at his final straw.
You finally opened your eyes.
Looking at him calmly. If it doesn't work, you don't pay a single cent.
Fine, I'll take that bet. Gritting his teeth, he pulled 20 spirit stones from his robe.
This was everything he owned. Sit, you said, pointing to the ground in front of you. Circulate your savage bull art. Taking a deep breath, the man closed his eyes and began to channel his inner power.
The mocking laughter around them quieted down. Everyone wanted to see how you were going to pull this off.
Less than 10 seconds passed before you suddenly commanded, "Stop!" You looked at him calmly. The Savage Bull art is an incomplete manual. Once your spiritual energy passes the Shenjiang acupoint, split a strand and sink it into the key high.
You're treating your energy like a rootless tree, so it's bound to run out of steam.
How could you possibly break through like that? The moment those words left your mouth, the burly man froze, as if struck by lightning. He was completely dumbfounded.
What you said was exactly how it felt when he practiced.
The constant loss of steam.
But he had never once suspected that the technique itself was the problem.
How did you know?
He asked in utter shock. You didn't even bother to answer, only saying, "Try again. Do exactly as I said."
The burly man's heart pounded wildly.
He hurriedly did as he was told.
The instant he split a strand of spiritual energy and sank it into his Q-high acupoint.
The subsequent surge of spiritual energy became incredibly powerful, heavier than ever before.
Boom! A muffled rumble echoed from deep inside his body.
The bottleneck that had trapped him for 3 years finally loosened, though it hadn't completely broken yet.
But that stubborn barrier had already cracked open. He could feel it. As long as he went back and secluded himself for a few days,
Breaking through to the 6th level of chi refining
was absolutely set in stone.
the ultimate rush. You're a god. A literal god. The burly man gasped, completely with a heavy thud. He fell to his knees right in front of you and countered deeply, his forehead slamming against the ground. Then he respectfully placed 20 spirit stones onto the cloth,
Scrambled away on all fours.
desperately rushing back to begin his secluded meditation. The entire crowd fell into a dead silence.
Everyone who had just been mocking you
Now felt their faces burning hot with shame, as if they had just been brutally slapped across the face, solving a 3-year bottleneck with just one look and a single sentence. This wasn't just guidance. This was the Midas touch. This was pure magic. After a brief, stunned silence,
The sound completely erupted.
Master!
please, take a look at me too. I'll pay 30. No, 40. I'll pay 40.
Help me first! The corner that had been completely ignored just moments ago was instantly mobbed, packed so tight that not a drop.
Faces, flushed red with feverish excitement, and eyes, burning with desperate longing, stared intently at you, as if you were their ultimate savior. You could no longer suppress the smirk playing on your lips. The fish had taken the bait. A wild frenzy instantly ignited the entire rogue cultivator market.
Master, 50 spirit stones. Please guide my stone-shattering fist.
I'll pay 60. Look at me first.
I've been stuck at my bottleneck for 5 years. Move out of the way.
I'll pay 80. You slowly raised your hand.
The chaotic, roaring crowd fell miraculously silent.
No need to rush.
Your voice wasn't loud, yet it carried an unquestionable authority. Highest bidder goes first. Those simple words instantly established a brand new order in the middle of this chaos,
While simultaneously igniting a whole new war.
I'll pay 80. A middle-aged man squeezed his way to the very front, trembling with excitement as he slammed down a pouch of spirit stone.
You cast a casual glance at him. You used too much raw force with your stone-shattering fist.
And the backlashing, baleful energy has damaged your lung reading. Switch to a spiral force. Guide your spiritual energy through the chi's acupoint.
With just those few words, the middle-aged man froze in absolute shock.
The throbbing pain in his arms is actually fading.
He is instantly ecstatic.
He steps back, thanking you profusely, as someone else shouts, 90 spirit stones? I'll pay 100. The scene completely descends into chaos. To you, though, these crude cultivation techniques are so full of holes they are laughable compared to your vast, mysterious knowledge. They are nothing more than a child's scribbles. Guiding these people is easier than breathing. In less than an hour, a mini mountain of spirit stones has already piled up on the stone slab in front of you. You have already amassed the 500 you needed, but you do not leave. You do damn well that making money this fast is bound to bring trouble. But instead of letting some thug stab you in the back later, you would rather settle it right here, out in the open, once and for all. Sure enough, right after you finish guiding the 10th person, a thunderous roar explodes through the air. Get the hell out of here, all of you! The crowd is violently shoved aside. 3 brutal-looking cultivators with scarred, menacing faces swagger in. The leader is a one-eyed thug at the 7th or 8th level of chi refining. A black Tiger Hall medallion dangles from his waist. He is clearly the local bully. The one-eyed thug stomps right up to you, glares down at you with sheer contempt, and slams his foot right onto your pile of spirit stones. He grinds his heel down hard, crushing them beneath his boot. He sneers. Well, you sure know how to rake in the cash, kid.
But setting up a stall here in the West Market.
Did you bother asking our Black Tiger Hall for permission? You slowly look up,
Staring at him with total calm.
As if looking at an annoying bug. I make my money through honest skill.
Who the hell do I need to ask? You have got guts. A murderous glint flashes in the thug's single eye. In this West Market, Black Tiger hand over 80% of everything you made today as a tribute.
And you will do the exact same thing every single day from now on.
Utterly ruthless, arrogant, and leaving absolutely no room for negotiation. The surrounding rogue cultivators burn with silent rage, too terrified to speak up. Everyone assumes you will either fork over the cash or get dragged into a bloody fight, but you simply shake your head, a pitying smile playing on your lips. Your rules do not apply to me. You pause for a beat, your gaze piercing straight into the thug's soul like a sharp arrow. On the other hand, that Black Fiend Tiger Claw technique you are practicing, it has got plenty of brute force. But the side effects are going to ruin you. The dark energy has already invaded your heart meridians. Every day at 5 in the morning, a needle-sharp pain pierces your chest. You thought it was just cultivation backlash. But in truth, your heart meridians are on the verge of collapsing. Your voice isn't loud. Yet, every single word strikes like a heavy hammer, smashing right into one eye's heart. The ugly sneer on his face instantly freezes. The shock and terror in his single eye cannot be hidden, and it soon turns into a murderous rage, born of sheer humiliation. Because you got every single word right. This is his deepest secret, one that not even his closest confidant knows. You're talking nonsense. You're asking for death. Driven by panic and rage, One Eye completely loses control. His fingers curl into a claw, black, malevolent energy swirling around them. He raises his hand, ready to strike a lethal blow, but midway, his claw freezes in midair, because the cold, flat voice of yours rings out again, like a sentence from the Grim Reaper itself. If you dare to use even a shred of spiritual energy, the dark energy will instantly flood your heart, and you won't even survive 3 months. Time seems to freeze across the entire rogue cultivator market. It gets so quiet that you can hear your own heartbeat. Hundreds of eyes nail themselves onto you, and One Eye, his claw still wrapped in black energy, hangs there in midair, unable to move up or down, looking like a ridiculous statue.
See that, right?
And that guy Lin knew a single eye. Besides murderous intent, there is mostly sheer terror. Cold sweat is already pouring down his ugly face. Your words strike his skull like a sudden bolt of lightning. The chest pain at 5, the collapsing heart meridians. These words are his death warrant. He knows it all too well. This fatal affliction. He spent countless spirit stones, yet could never find a cure. Yet with just a single glance, you stripped away all of his defenses, exposing his most vulnerable, fatal secret to the entire crowd. The urge to silence you forever flashes through his mind. You see it as clear as day. But you don't care at all.
He doesn't dare do it, because he fears death even more.
Finally, under the gaze of hundreds of eyes, after a silence that feels like an eternity, his raised hand begins to tremble, and he slowly, humiliatingly lowers it, inch by inch. This was far more agonizing for him than being killed outright. Without even lifting a finger, you had delivered a resounding slap to his face in front of the entire crowd. The 2 lackeys behind him looked like their jaws were about to hit the floor. They were completely clueless. One-eyed Dragon's voice was so dry, it sounded like he was swallowing sand.
Where was the formidable prestige of the Black Tiger sect leader? Now, you certainly had your ways. The moment he spoke, he basically admitted to everyone that you were absolutely right.
All around, the independent cultivators gasped in disbelief. The way they looked at you had shifted, no longer seeing you as just a capable master, but as a monster in human skin. Yet, your expression didn't change in the slightest.
You extended a single finger, pointing at the pile of spirit stones and gold he had trampled underfoot.
Then,
You looked up at him.
your tone was as casual as if you were commenting on the weather.
As for the prescription to save your life, that will cost you extra.
This is outrageous.
One of the lackeys behind him finally couldn't hold back and stepped forward to curse you out.
But was instantly forced back by a warding glare from One-eyed Dragon.
One-eyed Dragon ground his teeth so hard, they nearly shattered.
He had run rampant in this market for so many years.
Only ever robbing others.
Yet today, you were completely rubbing his face in the dirt.
But he knew when he was outmatched.
He squeezed 2 words through his teeth.
Not much. You held up 3 fingers. 300?
One of the lackeys gasped.
You shook your head. 3,000. The moment that number left your mouth, the entire bazaar erupted. This was practically driving a late-stage chi condensation cultivator to his absolute limit.
A murderous intent flared in One-eyed Dragon's single eye.
But your next words were like a bucket of ice water, completely dousing his anger.
You don't have to pay, you said, your eyes dark and bottomless as you stared at him.
It's not like you'll need them on your way to the underworld. A single sentence, deciding his life and death.
His body visibly charred.
He finally realized that the person standing in front of him wasn't some mere master.
He was an absolute monster clawing his way out of hell. 3,000 spirit stones for a life, and a future where he could continue to lord over others.
He knew how to do the math.
Fine, I'll pay.
He practically roared those words. He ripped the storage bag from his waist,
Slamming it down onto the cloth in front of you. There are 2,100 here. I'll bring you the rest within 3 days.
You didn't even bother to look.
You put away the storage bag and casually picked up a piece of wood. With a sudden flash of spiritual light, a cultivation technique, and a few herb names are instantly carved onto the wood. You toss it straight at him.
The modified water condensation spell will neutralize your evil energy. Fill this secret prescription and take it for 1 month and you won't die.
Wulong catches the piece of wood. With just a quick scan of his divine sense, he already feels the burning sensation in his chest ease up slightly. The last shred of doubt in his mind completely vanishes.
Today, he didn't just kick a steel plate.
He ran straight into an immovable mountain.
Let's go, he mutters, casting one last deep look at you. His eyes are filled with nothing but bone-chilling dread and lingering terror.
Then, dragging his 2 terrified, brain-dead lackeys, he flees in utter panic, scrambling into the crowd. Just like that, you turned a dangerous confrontation into your personal cash cow, with only a few words.
You stand up,
And calmly pack up all your spirit stones.
under the dumbfounded stares of the crowd.
You turn and vanish around the corner of the alley. From this day on, this rogue cultivator market has a new taboo.
A taboo that is you.
Of course, you don't head straight back to the ghost market. You take your time, walking in circles around the bazaar.
It looks like a casual stroll.
But in reality, every step you take is in a blind spot. Before long,
You completely shake off the sneaky tails following you.
showing absolute dominance is sometimes far more effective than sneaking around.
A wealthy rookie is just a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered, but a powerful figure who can decide life and death with a single word.
And casually extort Black Tiger Hall is a fierce tiger that no one dares to provoke. Once you're sure it's safe, you put your bamboo hat back on and dive right back into the shadows of the ghost market. It's the same dilapidated shop with the same old man polishing human bones.
You gently place a storage bag containing 450 low-grade spirit stones onto the counter.
The map, you say flatly, your eyes narrowing slightly.
The old man's cloudy eyes size you up.
A flicker of surprise crossing his face.
Obviously, he didn't expect you to get the money so quickly.
But he doesn't ask any questions. That's the rule of the market.
He takes the spirit stones and pulls a black wooden cylinder from the top shelf to hand to you. You open it on the spot and slide out a roll of yellowed beast skin. It is indeed the map. Inside area 155, next to a circled symbol, are 3 words. Soul-nourishing herb. That's the one. You carefully pack away the map. You turn and walk away.
Yo, man. The old man's voice rasps from behind you, grating like sandpaper. You freeze in your tracks.
Without even turning around, you wait.
I'll give you a free tip since you're so straightforward.
The old man says slowly.
The Qin family of Uninsez City is also looking for the stuff from 155. They've already lost 2 groups of people. Not a single soul made it back. The Qin family. The name flashes through your mind. A second-rate family backed by an ancestor in the late Foundation establishment stage? What are they looking for, you ask? The old man simply shakes his head. No idea. You better watch your back. Thanks, you say. Without another word, you move on. Your figure quickly vanishes into the darkness.
The old man picks up the snacks you left behind and takes a sniff. His mouth twists into a hideous grin.
The murderous aura of the Black Tiger Gang.
What an interesting kid.
Looks like you're about to stir up a whole storm here.
You stop in a deserted alleyway and unfold the map once more.
The Qin family. They're hardly a threat. At most, there's just a few pebbles you need to kick out of your way. From the very beginning, you've only had one goal. the soul-nourishing grass. That is the first step to repairing your shattered soul, and the crucial first step you must take to reclaim your peak power.
Looking up at the mountain range outside the city, shrouded in a gray demonic mist, the eyes beneath your hood ignite with a cold, piercing flame. It's time to take back what belongs to you. Without a moment's delay,
You stock up on essentials and head straight out of the city.
3 days later, the gaping, beast-like jaws of Demon Valley loom before you.
You halt your steps.
As you sweep your divine sense inside, you instantly feel as if you've plunged into a deep quagmire.
Your sensory range is instantly crushed to less than 10 Xian.
The air itself is thick and corrosive. The demonic mist here certainly lives up to its terrifying reputation.
You note grimly.
Sure enough, you spot an abandoned campsite near the entrance of the valley.
The air still carries a faint, oppressive scent.
You crouch down and pinch a bit of dirt stained with dried blood, then glance at an inconspicuous little purple flower growing nearby. Soul-devouring flowers. A cold smirk plays on your lips.
Pitching cap right next to these things is basically begging to be eaten alive.
Sifting through the ashes nearby, you find a charred metal badge engraved with the name Kyun.
The fools of the Qin family deserve to die.
You shake your head.
There is not a single trace of sympathy in your eyes. On the path of cultivation,
Weakness is the ultimate sin.
Then, without another moment's hesitation,
to take a step forward, plunging into the gray fog that swallows all light. Behind you lies the mortal world.
before you
Lies the abyss.
the moment you enter the demon mist.
Your 5 senses are suppressed to their absolute limit.
But you merely close your eyes with serene calm.
With your sight stripped away,
Your perception of the world's vital energy becomes sharper than ever before.
You reach out, feeling the faintest ripples of the dark, malevolent energy in the air.
The soul-nourishing grass only grows at the source of this dark energy. Now, your path is clear.
Like a phantom drifting through the thick fog,
after about 15 minutes,
Your steps halt, though your eyes remain closed. Your head tilts slightly to the left. Whoosh! A dark shadow lunges silently out of the mist,
aiming straight for the back of your neck.
the ghost of the mist strikes with lethal speed and precision.
but at that exact moment,
Your body shifts half a foot to the right like a ghost, evading the attack by a hair's breadth. The strike misses completely. Carried by its own brutal momentum,
the monster's body freezes for a split second.
now is your chance.
Without even bothering to look back, you flick your left hand backward. A highly condensed speck of golden light, like a miniature sun,
Instantly pierces through the monster's skull. The scorching heat of pure yang energy erupts, completely vaporizing it into a puddle of black water, leaving behind only a single gray yin core. The entire action is seamless and fluid.
And you haven't even opened your eyes. You bend down, pick up the yin core,
And casually toss it into your storage bag.
a battle of this level isn't even enough to make your heart skip a beat. But just then,
as you prepare to move forward, the faint ripples of a magical clash and a muffled groan echo from the deep fog ahead.
someone is there. You instantly suppress your aura.
Could it be that the fools of the Qin family haven't all perished yet?
A trace of amusement flickers in your eyes.
With the sudden blur of your body,
Like a weightless, fallen leaf, you glide silently toward the source of the sound,
moving like a wisp of smoke,
you melt soundlessly into the thick mist of Medicine Valley.
Carting the damp ferns in front of you.
the scene ahead instantly comes into clear focus.
In a desolate, open area of the swamp, 3 cultivators in tight-fitting green robes are standing back to back.
Their faces are deathly pale. They are completely surrounded by over a dozen horrific monsters.
Their defensive formation is on the verge of collapsing.
Those beasts have the bodies of scorpions,
The legs of centipedes,
and eyes like those of a crying infant.
dark green venom spews from their jaws.
Junior brothers and sisters.
Only to hear their senior brother Qing Feng shouting, "We can't hold out much longer."
A female cultivator screams.
Her small shield is already pitted and corroded by the acid.
Shut up! Their leader, Qin Feng, roars.
Forcing back a lunging beast with a sweep of his sword.
Jez are frantic. If we kill the king beast, the rest of them will scatter.
You follow his gaze.
Just outside the battle, next to a blue, grass-like herb emitting a faint white glow, stands a beast twice the size of the others.
Its carapace is a dark, dull gold, and a bizarre human-like grin even plays across its face. The soul-nurturing grass has its own guardian beast.
How foolish you sneer, inwardly.
Touching a symbiotic beast's ward is like poking a hornet's nest for the entire horde.
Trying to take it by brute force is as stupid as it gets. And sure enough, in the very next second,
Their defense collapses.
A blood-curdling shriek rings out.
a male cultivator is bitten on the calf by a beast bursting from the mud. Half his body instantly turns pitch black, and he falls stiffly to the ground.
Their 3 pyres formation.
He's shattered.
"Junior brother!" Qin Feng screams, his eyes nearly splitting with rage. The remaining beasts swarm forward like sharks smelling blood. The female cultivator closes her eyes in despair.
King Feng's face is completely ash gray. It's over, they all think. But at that absolute critical moment,
Whoosh! A simple, ordinary pebble flies from your hand.
traveling at an unbelievable angle,
It strikes the dark gold king beast precisely on its third left.
Right on the joint of its segmented leg.
The exact pivot point where all its physical power flowed. The beast's massive body suddenly went stiff,
Letting out a sharp, piercing screech. The lethal strike it was about to unleash was abruptly cut short.
throwing the entire swarm's attack rhythm into chaos. For a split second, everything froze.
Now's your chance. Move!
Or do you want to be turned to ash? A chilling voice echoed, sounding as if it came straight from the depths of hell, ringing clearly in the ears of Qingfeng and the female cultivator. The two gasped in shock, looking around wildly for the source of the voice. Only then did they realize a figure had appeared in the dense fog, standing there silently. It was you, wearing a bamboo hat, blending perfectly into the dark, gloomy swamp. Your level 7 Qi refining aura was completely unconcealed. A mere level 7 Qi refiner. Xingfeng's first reaction wasn't gratitude, but intense suspicion.
But the recovered Beast King was already shrieking,
Commanding its swarm to launch an even more vicious assault.
he didn't have time to wonder who you were.
Or what you wanted. Xingfeng swung his sword, desperately parrying the blows, while shouting out a harsh demand. As you slowly stepped out from the mist, you completely ignored the bloodthirsty monsters lurking all around.
Just a passing herb gatherer, you said, your voice entirely flat.
Your eyes landing on the soul-nourishing grass. As for what I want, I've taken a bit of an interest in that grass.
How arrogant! Xingfeng sneered, laughing out of sheer rage.
A level 7 Qi refiner dares to covet a spiritual treasure? If you want to keep your miserable life, get lost. In his eyes, you were just a scavenger trying to take advantage of their struggle.
That previous strike was probably just a fluke.
You gently shook your head, looking slightly disappointed.
Stupidity
Is fatal. The moment the words left your lips, you made your move. No spells, no flashing swords.
You simply pressed your fingers together like a blade
And pointed from afar at the dark gold Beast King commanding the battlefield. Perish,
you softly whispered.
In an instant, a streak of golden light, almost invisible to the naked eye, erupted from your fingertip. It pierced right through the thick mist, completely defying space and distance. With just a single finger,
A wild surge of energy erupted.
the massive head of the dark gold Kring, a beast impervious to swords and blades, exploded like a watermelon. Brains and blood splattered all over the ground. The king has fallen. Fallen. Clean, swift, and absolute. Time itself seemed to stand still.
The frenzied beast pack froze in their tracks,
Staring blankly at them. Behind the headless corpse of the king, Shi Feng and the female cultivator stood frozen, as if struck by lightning. The sneers on their faces instantly stiffened into absolute shock and terror. Defeating a beast king comparable to the peak of Qi refining. With a single finger? Is this something a mere 7th stage Qi refining cultivator could do? What kind of sick joke is this? Even the Foundation establishment elders of their family could never have done this so effortlessly.
Who on earth is this guy?
Under their stunned, vacant stares, you slowly lower your finger. Your tone is casual, as if speaking of a trivial matter. Now, this herb is mine. Do you have any objections?
Feng's Adam's apple bobs. He tries to speak, but his throat is so dry he can't make a sound.
Cold sweat has already drenched his back. Objections? How could he possibly dare to object without their king to command him? The remaining swarm descends into brief chaos, before finally retreating, like an ebbing tide,
Vanishing back into the depths of the swamp.
You don't even bother to look at the surviving pair again. Walking straight to the soul-nurturing grass, you pull out a white jade box, carefully, along with the spiritual soil at its roots. You transplant the entire herb intact and seal it with a spirit-locking talisman. Your movements are precise, practiced, and fluent.
Having done all this,
You finally turn and walk over to the lifeless remains of the Qin family cultivator. Crouching down, you retrieve a broken token from the storage pouch at his waist. You toss the token to Qin Feng.
go back and tell your family head.
You say in a cold, unquestionable tone, "The Demon Beast Valley is no place for people like you. For the sake of this token, I shall spare your lives. Now get lost."
Qin Feng catches the token.
Completely dumbfounded,
He has absolutely no idea what you mean.
but he understood the last two words perfectly. Get lost. It was the absolute authority of a superior.
Banishing a lowly insect.
He didn't dare hesitate for even a second, helping up the utterly terrified female cultivator.
He gave you a deep, trembling bow.
Without once looking back, scrambled desperately into the thick fog. Only when their presence completely faded away did you finally let out a long, heavy breath. There was no need to actually fight. Scaring them off like this would guarantee they'd never dare to return.
This is no place to linger.
Your figure flickered,
Vanishing into the vast Demon Valley. Half a day later,
at the edge of the Demon Valley. You finally stepped out of that suffocating gray world,
bathing in the warm sunlight once again.
kicking off your bamboo hat. Take it. You revealed a clean-cut yet cold face. The soul-nourishing herb was finally yours. The very first stepping stone to healing your shattered soul and returning to the peak of the immortal path was now firmly in your grasp. Your gaze swept across the rolling mountains, looking toward the vast, endless horizon. Runghe City was, after all, just the beginning. The real stage was waiting for you far, far away.